Mayor de Blasio has moved to eliminate New York schools' gifted programs. This is due to accusations of the program being a tool of racial segregation, where white and Asian students are far more likely to be accepted into these academic tracks with superior resources. Do you support this move? Do you think that this might be coddling Black and Hispanic students who just can't cut it? Is this another example of affirmative action gone bad? Or do you think that this is a path to equity in education? Yeah. So in New York schools, like the way they've made it sound, like when I've been meeting, it's been pretty bad. And how their gifted program is set up is like not good. And then we'll get into those details a little later on. But like this is not the only time, not the only place I've heard gifted programs um, being criticized. So I'm curious what you all have to think about this. All right, we'll start with opening statements. So, Bam.
Um, so whenever I seen this topic, it was interesting to me. I had to like look it up. I learned that I have a bias on this perspective because I grew up in Georgia in the Georgia public school system, and I looked at the research on how gifted programs were formed, and it seems that 10% of Black kids in the state of Georgia in some form of gifted program, which is overrepresented nationally by like a large margin. So from my personal perspective, I do think that like gifted programs, I was in the gifted program. I do think the gifted programs serve a pretty good purpose. Like the average like schooling, although nothing was wrong with it, like especially in my like elementary and early middle school years, just wasn't it wasn't as engaging for me. And either like first originally having the ability to strive for a gifted program like made me like go harder from like a young kid thing because I knew those kids got to leave the class and go do other stuff. And I think it actually put me in a place to have success from like a Black perspective. So again, that's biased. I think gifted programs should be further expanded to like a larger percentage of kids. Like I said, around 10% sounds pretty genuine, like if that's available. But yeah, I'm not against them inherently.
Chris.
Yeah, I kind of am, even though I was like in and out of it, like gifted programs and advanced placement programs. I saw being in those programs like the lack of things the kids outside it didn't receive. Like I was exposed to things that certain like a lot of kids weren't exposed to. Like I was able to learn things that like other kids were just way far behind in because of like the methods of teaching that we had like introduced to us and like the tools they gave us, right? um it seems like a lot of kids from an early age were excluded from things off of basis of one test, right? Where like like that kind of sets you up to like it's almost like a setup to fail, sort of. I think what these things should be based off of is like how kids learn, and I don't think we take that into account a lot, like at the different ways in which kids learn. Because like some kids learn visually, some kids learn at a faster rate, some kids like withhold things differently, right? And we just take like work for the gifted program. They take kids that kind of are able to do things at a quicker rate because of the way like school is set up to teach, right? The regular way school is set up to teach. Some kids are just naturally like excel at that, and because it works for them, so they get accepted in that way, and then they get all the access to all these resources, like sometimes better teachers, like better lessons, and like just more experiences in general. And I think that should be definitely be expanded, and it should find ways to help kids who aren't like who don't learn in like that typical like academic way, find ways that they do um have better like find ways that they do learn better. It just sounds weird coming out of my mouth. Like find ways for them to learn at their pace, at the things
So
that help
we gotta
them.
just continue.
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Let's
I'm
go
always
to.
listening.
Hurry up!
Let's go Wiggle. Who you talking to, Azzy? Wiggle.
That is true.
Um, where I was, there was like some form of program. It was for like intellectually gifted children. It was IG. They went to the same school as you, and you did have to take a test and pass early on. And then it might have been like second grade or something. And then from then on, all your classes were with the same people for all of elementary school. And then it was really shitty because like I took this test, and it really crushed your like inspiration because I scored a little bit below, and then you never stop thinking about it. because there's these kids out there that are like the smartest kids, and they're put in a special unit, and then it makes you feel like you want to achieve. It actually had the effect of, for me, it was like, I can do this. And it gave me that feeling because I had more ambition back then. I didn't go to college yet. So I was like, I could do this. I could do that. And what really, the effect it had on those kids is, I would say they weren't socially stunted. They just were socially different than everyone else because they spend so much time around the same people. The things that they valued were kind of different. And when we started to have classes again with each other in like junior high and then high school, these kids all were in advanced math classes. They like the classes they took were always ahead. It's really limiting.
And Wiggle is in New York, right? Yeah. So
yes,
okay.
I think that is like those kind of programs are really limiting. I think everybody should have access to something like that. But I agree with the sentiment that like the results were successful. Those kids in those programs, the schools they got into, the math they're able to do, these kids didn't fail classes. They were like, the idea of learning young and being in a small environment and then having like the same people around you, that had to have some positive effect because I saw it. But I would like that to be branched out. Most of the kids in these classes were Asian, in some form. There was really limited black participants because of the demographics of my area. And then like there was a few white people, but it was largely like the first generation immigrants of immigrants.
Well, okay, sure. I just want to make sure everyone's open. Go ahead, Smooth.
So for me, I was actually in that program for the state of Arkansas, and for me, it did wonders for me. Like as far as like allowing me to continue to expand my education on like things I could learn, because I was in the classroom and I wasn't learning anything. I was already there. Like whatever test it was at the end of the class, I was already there. I was done. So like to have something else to do, to strive for, to actually learn more, was great. I wouldn't say necessarily that they didn't base it necessarily off a test. They based it off of how you performed in class. And then they were like, hey, they reached out to your parent, like, hey, like a couple weeks in, hey, your child would be great for this program. They're performing at a high level. Would you like them to try out these courses? Sure. You know what I'm saying? I think they did it around like the first parent teacher conference, which was around like 6 weeks in to school. And yeah, and then that's how I got in there, and then that's how I got to doing it. And I think that's a great way to do it. Them getting rid of the program, as you asked, it's kind of bad. But it seems like they're trying to bring it back in a different way, though.
TopDolphin.
Yeah. So like everybody else has said, I was in gifted programs growing up. And fuck those shit. That shit was too slow. Okay, I needed some super gifted program. They actually create for my class and my school. Actually, surprisingly, they created a couple super gifted programs because we had a bunch of kids who were just knocking state tests out of the water so bad, and we're just so bored. I think I go back and forth on gifted programs because I've seen that like they can be harmful to like where money's distributed, and actually a lot of gifted kids have like a lot of like psychological problems when they go to like when they go to like gifted programs and then they get into Harvard and they're like one of the normal kids there, and that like breaks their mentals and stuff. But at the same time, I remember like so like very very short story. When I was in 3rd grade, I was supposed to skip a grade. Me and my best friend at the time, his name was Noah, we were supposed to take a test and like skip a grade, and I would have passed the test 100%. 3rd grade was a waste of time for me. But something that I was so bored in the classroom, I got in trouble a lot, and I ended up getting like suspended because I was like getting bullied, and then that's a long story. I hit a teacher, but like it's not as bad as it sounds. But at the end of the day, like what happens to like you have to teach kids at the especially some younger kids at the pace in which they're ready to learn, because otherwise they get bored and they become class clowns, or they dick off and they don't do whatever. And that I experienced that a lot. I missed out on a lot of I took advantage of so many of the gifted opportunities, but I also missed out on a lot of them because like a lot of times school just wasn't moving fast enough for me, and I got myself in a lot of trouble. So I don't know if getting rid of gifted programs is necessarily the right answer, but it seems like New York does them really bad, and they should probably like revise them and like bring them back in a healthy way.
Azzy.
I think it's so I feel like it's not that it's the gifted program that's the issue. It's just that by the time they select students to be in the gifted program, all the black kids are already in the special education or they're hard stuck in the normal classes, and at that point they're just lost in the system. Because I was in these gifted programs, and it really just taught me that a lot of these Asian kids in there aren't that smart, you know, and they shouldn't be there to begin with. Uh, sorry, you know, to any of the Asian audience, but it's true. Y'all weren't
You can't
that.
do
Y'all
that, man.
weren't
There's
that.
laws against that now.
Y'all weren't that. I know, and Asian hate, but you know, I think twice about that rule. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, you know, this.
Okay.
let me stop. Anywho, I feel like it's just like it's more nuanced than that. Just ending the programs won't solve the issue. It's like a lot of times these programs do teach you that the resources and the teachers are just a little bit more focused and a little bit more passionate because they want their kids to pass the exam. Like if we're including like AP exam, like AP classes or stuff like that, if you want your kids to pass the AP exam, you have to teach them the skills to get to that. But in the normal classes or in the lower, you're just trying to get through the day, and you know that's what a lot of teachers do. I feel the problem is a bit more nuanced than just anything like a gifted and talented programs, because if anything, it allowed me to infiltrate and learn more about and make more Asian friends like that I may not have done, you know, in the process. You know, it allowed me to go out and see more culture and be exposed to more opportunity.
Let's go to
and
yeah. We'll get more into it. Gambit.
Yeah, so shit, I just lost. Oh no, I did. Shit. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, no, I am I love the gifted program. I got in the gifted program in kindergarten, first semester. Um, and I spent my entire scholastic career in the gifted program. So I love the gifted program. I love everything about it. As a gifted student, you bring like more money to your school, so that's like more resources. I'm from like very poor area, so the more resources, the better for everybody. So I feel like it helped other students and me in multiple ways. So the thing that Top Dolphin was saying was absolutely true. Like I don't know if y'all remember, but if you got an 8 at my school, that meant excessive talking. My entire school career, I got an 8 on every progress report because I was so bored in class that there was nothing to do. And then all I would do is talk, be a class clown. And like, actually got to the point where I was interrupting other students. So it was really good. We didn't, we didn't separate completely, but there were like certain periods where we would be like away from all the other kids. So it was good for them. And also I even had close friends that told me that they used to like when we went to the gifted program because we would answer all the questions. So they didn't really get chances in class to like participate and stuff. So like, cause you know, like when you're a young kid, like all you want to do is give the right answer and be right. So there was a lot of problems that we were creating because like, I think by third grade, my 2 best friends were both in gifted as well. And like, us not being in the classroom helped the other students out like a lot, from disruptions, from allowing them to participate and answer questions. A lot of them said they were like they felt like weird about how quickly we finished some of our work. So like some people like unfortunately started to feel like less than, which is like really bad. So I think separating people and like Top Dolphin said, like teaching people to their like speed that they're ready for is amazing. So like I'm absolutely against any type of like abolish the gifted program. I think it's absolutely silly.
So, all right. Well, I was in the gifted program too.
Look at all
Everyone
these
but
black
me?
excellence.
Yeah.
Actually,
Everyone but me? What the
Yeah,
fuck?
look in the
Let me-
look
let me-
into the
let me-
no.
wig
Hey,
out, wig out, wig
I'm about to say,
out,
Wig,
bro.
look in the chat. I sent a reference to tables. Like you being from New York, it actually makes sense because apparently in New York, like less than 1% of black kids, like less than 1% of black kids were in the gifted program. So like that's different from most other states.
So had you been somewhere else, you probably
I
would have
would-
been a gifted kid.
Yeah. So
That's
I,
just
I was
holding
always
you
a
back.
gifted kid. I didn't need the state
Get
to
outta
tell me
here,
that.
bro.
All right,
New-
all right. I
New
was
York
an
is so
X-Man in that
lackluster.
bitch, bro. I was straight up Magneto.
My bad, Prime
in
was
that
saying
bitch.
something.
All right.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, I was in the gifted program. My I got into it in elementary. No, excuse me, middle school. I got into middle school, and like, you know, everyone was telling me, "Oh, you should take the test. You take the test." I was one of those kids who answered all the questions, had his hands up first, right?
Yeah.
And like so much so, like you know, at some point the teacher's just giving up on calling on you. It's like, all right, someone else they just ignore you. I'm like, okay. But here's the thing: my middle school gifted program like sucked ass. Like, it was like not good. It was like boring. I don't know what the fuck those guys were doing in there. It was boring as shit. The only reason I took the test is because I had some friends who were in the gifted program, but they were a year above me, and then.
Yeah, you get to be with them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But then they wouldn't let me because I was a year below them. And I'm like, all right, then I don't want to come. It's boring.
Oh.
Like, I was waiting for something interesting to happen, and it was like nothing, right? So I just like didn't show
My
up.
school was so small that all the gifted kids in middle school took a class together. All the gifted kids in high school took a class together.
In high school, the gifted program was really interesting because we had like a special like a research thing. We got like instead of like going to a gym, right? Like we nixed that, and you got like a extra lunch period like at the end. So your final lunch period, period was the extra lunch period, right? And you could leave the school because you were doing projects around the city, like science projects or whatever kind of project, right? And then you would present that thing like at a science fair. It was really interesting. That part was pretty cool. But other than that, like I haven't like it wasn't like an accelerated learning type thing for me, right? So like I missed out on all that great stuff. But like yeah, so my experience with the gifted program is just like I think a lot different from all the rest of you guys. Go ahead, Chris. On top.
What Gambit said really resonated with me about the speed of learning. I remember there was a gap in middle school where I wasn't in my city. They stopped calling it gifted; they call it advanced placement. But like I stopped being in advanced placement in a school that I moved to because I didn't have a program like that in school. And like this school, like my experience in it was awful because like I was finished with like work was so easy. I was finished all the time. I would come to school with like a bag full of manga. Right, I would finish my work and I'd be reading in class. I got bullied a lot for that. Like even when I moved into high school and like I was in advanced placement classes, I was still bored. I still came to school with that bag full of manga. I was still getting my work done. But like at the same time, we still have fun things to do. We did have those projects that we got to after school. We got to work on, or not even after school before that last bell. We did get that because I was in technology classes where we were working on M1 racing cars. And we were like building stuff on the computer. We're doing all this stuff, robotics club. Like, and like the kids outside of that, I remember I graduated. I didn't know a third of my graduating class. I didn't know these people. I'd never seen them in my life. That's how separated we were at the time. Like it was crazy. And that made me realize like, damn, like these like kids don't get any of the resources. They kept us so separated at the time, like that we didn't even know each other when we were graduating. So like it looks weird. I remember my girlfriend didn't speak to me for a week after the state test. I remember like because every year I passed the state test the first time through. Right, there was one year they announced everybody who passed it at the first go around on the announcer thing. Right,
that's so effed up.
That was messed up. All the kids got like harassed because of that. Right, everyone who did like who passed that like that way because they gave us all kind of like gift cards and stuff. Right, and I remember my girlfriend didn't talk to me for a week, and I couldn't figure out why. And like, cause she didn't pass like any of them the first time around, right? And like that, like made kids like that were outside of those programs.
So you were dating dumb kids, huh, man?
They weren't dumb. They just
gotta lift your woman, man. Like you just letting her fail out there, cause like, bro.
Look. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a teacher, but there was like she wasn't the only one. It was like a ton of the kids in school.
You had more girlfriends? No, I'm just fucking with you.
There's a ton of the kids in the school who did not pass that test the first go around. They had to do it multiple times, right? And it's because like in our advanced placement classes, everything was about passing tests, right? They got like it was the kids who were good at tests who like could pass tests in their sleep. And like so we get a lesson that first time around, right? We do like a couple homework assignments and we got it. Like whatever tests we got, like we like didn't even have to study. I didn't study at all in school. And like that's because that's the way I learned. But that doesn't mean the kids who didn't learn that way were like dumb. It's just like it like school like it prioritized the way I and some other kids that learned more, and it was like more conducive to the things that we were like capable of.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about this. Actually, something that's really interesting is women are now like outperforming men in school by a lot, and a lot of people are saying it's because like the way school's design is better for women than men. Um, but to kind of speak to what Chris said, and then like go from that. Actually, I remember I actually missed out on a couple years of gifted classes. We had like K through 3 was at one school, and I was in the gifted program there. Except for the reading club.
Just a quick second. Thank you, Nicholas Diario, for being so kindness to raid the channel with 124 people. That's awfully kind of you. Thank you for raiding the channel. Hey everyone, my name is Prime. We do these panels. Right now we're doing an all black everything panel, talking about white stuff, and we really appreciate you being around. We do panels all the time, and not just that. We have this is a closed panel. We have open panels. Like we'll have an open panel after this. Well, in terms like you, yes, you sitting at home, you can be a part of those panels, right? If you want to give your opinion on random topics, right? Then we give you the space to make that happen. So be so kind as hit that follow button right now, right this second. Hit that follow button. Make sure notifications are on. I give you content 6 nights a week. 6 nights a week. We're always live. We're always here, right? So if any of that interests you, right, either closed panels like this, where we talk about these topics, or open panels where you can join in, and sometimes you can be invited to these types of things, right? Or one-on-ones, we have those, right? We have interviews. We have everything here. Hit that follow button. If any of that interests you, hit that follow button right now. So you don't miss out. All right, thank you again, Nicholas, and I hope I think I shouted you out, but I'll do it again if I didn't. But thank you so much for the kindness. Everyone, go follow Nicholas at his channel. Go check him out, and very much appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I apologize for interrupting you, Adam.
No, that's fine. So to kind of back up what Chris said, not to bounce off, I actually kind of but my experience might be different than yours. You said like so for one, if you're in not gifted if you're on Twitch, you were probably in gifted classes. Just kidding. But if you were in not gifted classes, I'm just gonna tell you all your teachers were dumb as fuck. All your teachers were like terrible, and like you guys got like the shit end of the stick, because we got like had like a bunch of amazing high school, middle school, and elementary school teachers. I had a bunch of amazing experiences through school, and part of it was because I was in the gifted program, and that kind of sucks that you guys didn't get access to those experiences. But like when you're talking about like the teaching towards like a test sort of thing, that's kind of true. I think the way you described it, but I would almost say that like, at least in my experience, the gifted kids were less taught like towards tests, especially like state test, like AP. Yes, because like the whole thing of an AP class was to pass the test so you got college credit. But before that, we had like the in Ohio we had the OAT and the OGT that we had to take. And every year, I didn't know this until like was tutoring my little brother, who wasn't like, he's smart, but he wasn't in gifted or honors or advanced or anything. And
he's not smart.
In those classes, no, he's all right. He's smart. He's just his brain is crazy. Okay, he's ADHD as fuck. Those classes, like the way they were designed, were like, these are the types of questions, like these are all the previous questions from those tests, and we're going to teach you how to answer these questions, so hopefully you get the same questions right. Whereas when I was in like the advanced and gifted and honors like courses for everything in school, we ignored the fuck out of those tests. Like that part of the lesson was like a day in class. We're like, oh yeah, by the way, you have to take this test. They show these kinds of questions. All right, now we're going to get back to the material, because like we were so far beyond the like graduation test requirements. I think a couple kids in my grade actually got to take the graduation test in like 8th grade and passed it, like the gifted kids. And they were not the smartest of the gifted kids. They were pretty dumb. I'll let you know that. But a couple kids got to take it early, and like we were like so far past like graduation requirements as early as 7th and 8th grade that like we never had to worry about state tests. So our teachers had a lot more freedom and a lot more agency to kind of do what they want, be more creative, and keep up with kids in like individual paces.
That's what I meant. It was they were teaching a class that was more geared towards kids who are good at taking
Who
tests.
were good
right?
at taking tests. Yeah.
So we didn't, like you said, we didn't like they go over what the test would be like a day before the test was happening. But the actual material of the test, right? The material of the lessons, we were going all through. We were having conversations about. So by the time we got to the test, right? It wasn't an issue, right? I'd be asleep the day before, like when they're going over
So
like questions.
I do want to
like,
go over the problems of these things. Go ahead, Smooth.
Okay, so
There are no problems.
I want to say three things. So one, to push back on what you said, like you can have an excellent school experience without having been in any of those programs. Because I literally left those programs just because I felt socially I was dumb. And that's how I felt. Because I felt like I was missing out on the actual experience of actually being able to relate to other human beings because I was just too busy being smart all the time. And that was getting in the way of my interactions with people. That's one. Two, I feel like with New York, them testing kids like before kindergarten, like that's not fair because that's literally means whether or not you had access to pre-K education or your family actually had time to sit down and teach you stuff to where you would know what you needed to know, or they exposed you to the right things. There's no way you pass. Like if your family is just trying to make ends meet, there's no way you finna pass that test and being gifted. You're just not.
But why should everybody else be penalized?
And no, I'm not saying everybody else should be penalized. I'm saying they have to make an avenue to where if this kid actually has the actual aptitude to be able to perform on that level, they just haven't been exposed to that stuff. Then they allow that kid to join in later.
What makes you think that wasn't possible with your program?
No. I'm saying with New York. I'm saying from the article that we were sent, they were saying that they were testing these kids before kindergarten. That's what it said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what it said.
That's not the only time, right?
It is often very difficult to jump into gifted programs.
Yes,
it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, like 100%. Like I remember, I missed it.
Smooth. Do you finish your point?
Yeah.
And then what was my last one?
These people so smart, but they don't got manners. I just want to say that, bro.
Oh man.
No. So yeah, there's that part. There's what did I just say? I said the whole thing with being able to join or whatever later. So what I would like to see, so my third thing, what I would like to see with these programs is they actually base it off the kids, like I was saying for my last point, their actual aptitude to learn and to be smart. Because a lot of
measure that.
No, but see, that's what I'm saying. When you get in that room and you actually have to perform, you know what I'm saying? Those kids that are smart will show up and they will actually perform on a high level. They actually have that aptitude. It's just they haven't been given an opportunity.
Wait, can I ask you a question? Because I'm missing you and I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
What are they not doing that would do that? Like
they're not giving those kids that opportunity, because if you're teaching to a standardized test or whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? You're not giving that kid an opportunity to actually do something outside of the box to test the kids in the room's ability to go past that mark. Like give them something to where you give them something and just give them a whatever it is, like whether it's like a math thing, because this is how they found out. This is how I got into gifted and talented. No cap. This is how I got into gifted and talented. We had these multiplication and these adding tables, right? Well, we had adding tables, we had subtraction, adding, multiplication, and division, right? They literally they gave us this paper and it was a speed test. I finished the addition. I was done. She gave me the subtraction. I was done. Like, this is all why these kids are still adding. They handed me multiplication. I was done. And then they handed me division, and I started to work on division, and I didn't quite
You
understand.
started to perform, and then they tested you to put you in gifted. What are you saying they're not doing in New York?
I'm saying in New York, they're giving you a test before you even have learned anything.
Gambit.
Wait, you think there's only one test that they give? You think they only give it one time and then you're done?
I mean, according to New York, it's really hard to get into.
They said they gave you the test before kindergarten, and if you didn't test well, hey, bro,
Wait, so you're saying
Sorry,
you could
you out
only
of
get
luck.
in before kindergarten? Is
Yeah.
that what everybody?
Take care. Look at that article that I sent out.
Or like,
Yeah, look at the article,
oftentimes
bro.
what happens is you can get in later, but like you have to
Like-
show that you are like, so like if you take the test, right, and like you're like wiggle,
Mhm.
right, and you, let's say you missed the gifted program by 1 point, right, you then the standard to get in after you've missed that
It
initial
gets
wave
harder and harder.
is way harder. Like you have
Yes.
you don't only just have to like perform to the level of gifted kids, you have to like run circle. You have to be the LeBron James running around 6th graders in class,
Yes.
right? Who is like
I was
literally,
LeBron
like,
James. Bro.
yeah, like to get out to like, and this was the case in my school too. Like I missed 3 years of like the gifted program because I got in trouble and I got suspended and I missed like a test. And I literally had straight A's every single like quarter that like we had grades. And I still couldn't get into the gifted program because I missed that initial test. And they make it very, very difficult. And especially if you're testing kids as early as kindergarten, like at that point, it's really just going to be people with money and preschool educations who are going to get in. And if you're like, that's probably why you see a lot of that's
most part,
like New York specifically. That's probably why you have a lot less black students in these programs, is because the kids who had access to like a pre kindergarten education were the kids who got into these types of
even
programs.
outside of this gifted shit. Like school is so much like that. Like they want to put you in these boxes of like you're smart and you're average,
Mhm.
and then sometimes if your school is bad enough, like you're below average, you're remedial, and it's like they make it so hard to be like they make
To
it so
jump.
hard to like jump exactly because you get
No,
people
I
who
have
are
friends
always
that got in it.
Yeah, wait,
Like,
maybe
there's
where you are, this
always
is the case,
people.
but like
There's
in
the-
general,
No,
it's
no,
very
wait.
difficult.
Are y'all?
And like, it's also really hard to fall out
It's a
of gifted
state by state
programs.
issue. I don't know where you're from, but like you gotta listen.
Yeah.
You
I'm
gotta
from
listen.
Georgia.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah,
That's what I'm
state
saying.
by
I think Georgia has a really strong, actually, just
No,
general
it's
public school
based
system.
off like the percentage. I know. So my daughter is 2 points away from being able to get in, but it's based off like the percent that you perform statewide.
What state are
It's
you
not-
in, bro?
I'm in Georgia. I just said Georgia.
Oh.
I thought that's what GSU was, but I wasn't sure.
Like,
But
I'm telling you, right? Like when I was in Ohio, right? And I was in gifted programs for a long time, but in I think it was 3rd through 6th grade, I dropped out of them. I was still in classes with most of the gifted kids because they put us in like inclusion classes, which were like really, where it was like all the smartest kids and all the like special education kids, so that they could have 2 teachers and split the class. So I still got educated with a lot of the gifted kids, but I wasn't like in the gifted program technically. And for me to enroll in honors classes my 7th grade year of middle school, my mom had to literally petition and go up to like 4 meetings at the school to get me in, even though in 6th grade, I got the highest grade possible on the math OGT. They wouldn't let me enroll in honors math. It is extremely difficult to jump up. And it's also, if you're like put in a gifted class and like you don't perform well, it's extremely difficult to knock back down to regular classes until you get like into like high
every
school.
program is
it wasn't a
And I always
wasn't-
know if you stop performing as a top, like very small percentage of students in the state, you were done for.
I was done for it,
It
but
was over.
because we call
our
ours
gifted
kaleidoscope.
programs. Our gifted programs ended like when once you were in like junior high, they're like kaput. Like you were just in classes
Ours
with
was
everybody
till
else.
12th grade.
It was just like you were in classes with everybody else. However, you were put in higher level classes because the classes you'd be put in were a waste of time. So you were always above everyone else. So when it came to your senior year, you were like leagues beyond everyone. You would like be able to apply to more colleges freely, take that time. But like what I would experience with like honors classes, we could have honors classes and later on like advanced placement classes. Your
You're cutting
teachers
out.
would like I'm cutting out.
Wiggle right there, man.
I try. Yeah, get closer.
Can you hear me
Yeah, we
now?
can hear you.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
go
so,
Wiggle
like,
and
you-
then Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you were like not put into one of these programs, like they said that you didn't make the like score for like this honors class, they were obstructionists. Like these teachers, they'd be like, "No, I don't think you're capable. I had that with science. People were telling me I'm not fucking capable. What the fuck? I got accepted into so many universities for engineering at first, bro. My dad's a physics teacher, and they're telling me like at a 7th grade 13-year-old like I don't think you're capable. Get the fuck out of here. You're a teacher. You're a teacher. Get the
shit.
fuck out of here, bro. Like
be
you're
smart,
telling me
bro.
I'm
For
not
real.
capable. Like let me try at
Also-
least. You know, that's the way they are. It's like there's this idea of like we need to make sure our students are excellent as
Oh,
a whole,
so
so
wait,
our
question.
school looks good and it's best for your future. But it's like I want some independence of let me
No,
experience
question.
the classes
Are-
I want to be in. You know?
Are you saying that the test should be more readily available for more people to take?
Not
I mean,
only
either
That's
more
the
or
only
else.
right?
I mean, that's
I think
one
the
of
New York
them. There's
program should
probably other
generally be
things as
expanded
well.
in general. I was about to say, but like two of my best friends are from New York, and they like say that specifically the New York public school system is like just like in its shambles compared to like a lot of the Georgia public school. Like they say, like if you're from New York, at least they're from they're from the city, but if you're from New York and you send your kids to public school, basically you setting them up to fail. Like everyone goes to some type of charter
People
school.
say that about
or
Georgia
some-
too, bro.
No, Georgia actually has a very like is known
No,
for their
Georgia's
public.
ranked like 39th in education, bro.
Not it's not
They're not
overall
like some
education,
Mecca.
but the public school system is generally like it like
Better.
the yeah it's
Better.
well yeah it's just there's just
It's ranked
it's
39th.
just
What do you
standardized.
mean?
I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying it's standardized. I'm saying that like sending your kids to the private school and sending your kids to like the public school like that could be saying that the private schools aren't good in Georgia, but I'm saying the private schools aren't like 20 steps better than the average public
like
school.
your
in the state of
schools are
Georgia.
better. It's just New Yorkers are smarter people. So like
Yeah,
they score
I
better.
love
That's
how
why it
GSU
says
looks
third-
at data sometimes,
yeah.
bro. The way he reads
Also,
data
I'm
is
not sure,
it's
but
so
like
IT one sided. I love that, bro.
I'm not sure how schools work in Georgia, but like I doubt. Is there like Georgia public schools like as an organization, or is it like based on city
Yes.
and? Is it really like citywide, like a public school system?
The Georgia public
Or is it like you have like this city public schools and this city public schools?
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's
there's
a state superintendent.
Next. Yeah,
yeah.
there's
So
like-
it's possible like the schools where BAM. I'm not sure where you guys are in Georgia, but the schools where BAM are and the schools where you are, GSU Jambit, had completely different standards and stuff like
I'm
that.
from rural
Plus
Georgia.
money-
so
Me too.
Money- Money
you
goes a
broke up,
lot
and that's good,
farther
'cause
in
you almost
Georgia.
doxed yourself.
Money in
Huh?
New York versus
I
money in
ain't say my city.
Georgia. I'm pretty
Oh.
sure the dollar in Georgia can go a lot farther than the dollar in New York.
So can
Oh,
the students.
but-
Yeah,
True.
I just-
To
I just-
push back against
I just
something
wanna
Homeroom
say
said
it.
earlier.
But here's this is a problem with like the gifted classes is if like a student wants to move at like I'm in Ohio too, like TopDolphin is. A lot of time advanced placement classes were 2 or 3 lessons ahead of a regular class. So even if like a kid like was doing well in a regular class and wanted to move up, the hurdles they have to move through, especially if they've been in those regular classes for a long period of time,
Mhm.
right? They don't like give you the same acknowledgement to jump right into this class. In high school, I had all the same classmates and almost all the same teachers the entire 4 years I was in those classes,
Yeah,
right?
pigeonhole.
Like
It was like
you-
the same like 30 kids in every single class or whatever.
Yeah, and I remember in like my senior year, I was so excited. Like at the end of my junior year, I was like, I'm gonna like just drop these advanced placement classes. I'm gonna coast my last year of school, and I'm gonna take it easy. My English teacher told me you don't have a choice. You are going to the advanced placement classes, and she explained to me that like you can't like even to drop the advanced placement classes. Like there's going to be an issue with some of these students, even if they're like not even doing that well in those advanced placement classes. Like going into the regular class as an advanced like student, like it causes issues with the other students, especially if you're constantly doing well. Like you're constantly bored in class. You're all like always passing. Like it ends up like there's issues of bullying and things like that. There's issues that they have with it. Like, and I don't think that's like fair or right. I think either or. Like if you don't want to be in those classes, you shouldn't have to be. And I think if you want to get like strive for those classes, you should give an opportunity to. It's just they make it so hard, and they because of the separation that they do, the separation in lessons, the resources are given. Right, it's a completely separate universe. It was like going to 2 separate high schools with like certain kids. Like so,
Yeah.
I always thought it was crazy.
That's another thing.
Y'all
Chris
bring
really,
up. My
Chris
bad. I
really
just want
poked on something.
I'll say something real quick, then I'll
Yeah,
shut up.
okay.
You can talk. I just think it's crazy that y'all's programs, like how y'all are talking about, like, oh, we didn't even like associate with the other kids. Like in Georgia specifically, like in the way my school worked, like it was like you have like sessions maybe like 2-3 times a week, and like but you still took like the regular curriculum, but you went off and you did like extra stuff on the side, and then like
Yeah.
and whenever we had like whenever we hit like middle school,
That's
there
not
was
Arkansas.
we had like there was like we were separated into 3 groups. Like we called it like it was your grade, which was the first number, and then it was like 1, 2, 3. And 3 was the gifted kids, but they didn't call it the gifted kids because you don't want to make kids feel like they're different. Like, oh, like you're just in 6'2" or 6'3" or 7'1", 7'2", 7'3". And if you were in 7'3", like you were gifted, but you still had interactions with all the other kids for like the social development. Like completely like just cutting yourself off from the rest of the kids. That feels like that like will have a big hindrance on like social skills.
Yeah, it's like a completely like I always describe it. Like a lot of people don't understand, but like it is a completely different, like almost cutthroat environment. Whereas
Yes.
like everything is like drill, like you are like school first. Every kid, not every kid in the class, but a lot of the kids are like trying to learn, and it's like completely different environment than like the fucking normal classes. Which to me, when I went to a normal class, it felt like I was sitting in like daycare with a bunch of kids who didn't know how to act. It was crazy when I took a normal class. But to push back against something Smooth said, I remember you said that like you felt you didn't get like social experiences, so you kind of dropped out. I kind of agree with you there, but the amount of experiences that I got through like gifted programs and stuff like that, that not like socially but like otherwise were like insane. I got access to so many more like field trips. I got access to so many more extra classes, so many more opportunities. I got access to like work opportunities like in school. I didn't do it, but like I was able to do like a we had like our IT kids in school if I wanted to. Like there are so many things that like we got access to both from an educational standpoint, not from a social standpoint, I would say, but like and from like just a life experiential standpoint, like being able to like go out in public and do certain things because they figured that we weren't going to cut up was like way like it's crazy the amount of stuff that I got to do that other kids just like couldn't do because they were too busy like making sure they were wearing the right clothes and making sure they weren't like throwing pencils in their noses and shit.
We even got disciplined differently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You making the disparity between a regular good kid and a gifted kid way too far.
It's not like, dude, it is.
You said it sound like I understand, like, but like this is what it was like. They were 100%.
You could barely keep clothes on them, right? They were like,
no, hold on.
On the wall, right? Like,
I'm saying, like,
I want to know where y'all grow up.
One, there was a literally kid in my middle school who like smeared shit in the wall in the bathroom. So,
Seriously.
talk about that.
This sound like
I'm not joking when I say
Neanderthal.
literally like your average day classes, like the first 20 minutes of class were like teachers just like I've sat in with these classes like with my brother and stuff. I helped tutor some of these kids in free periods and stuff. Like teachers were spending way more time like doing discipline, making sure kids were following like dress codes and stuff, making sure like they're like when I got to class in like a gifted class,
it was like they don't know how to dress.
Like
no, they know how to put clothes on, right? But they're making sure like when I say they're making sure they were like following dress code. Like literally like they would check and make sure all the kids had a belt and like make sure that the belt was on properly because we went to like a uniform dress code thing. Like there was so many like
that's why dress codes
normal
exist. Bitch.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. But there's so many like things that existed for like the regular key classes. Whereas like when I got to class as like a gifted student, quote unquote, like we walked in the room and we started learning and we learned until the end of the class period, like most of the time. There's some exceptions.
Better behavior.
Right? Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So 2 things real quick. Azzy looks like a meme down there. When he makes certain faces, just like I'm just gonna keep it a band. He looks like a meme. Like, look at that. Like that's a meme, bro. That's a meme.
New emotes for Prime's chat.
Okay, and then two.
You better pay me for that.
To
Don't use my face. I will sue.
I love Azzy.
Wow.
Right. So listen to.
What he says in the mirror every day, he's like, "Don't use my face."
Right.
That's exactly what I say.
But to say like, I just feel like for the gifted kids, right? To not have to agree with Bam, like to not have any interaction with any other kids, it's insane. Like I picked up on that early on. Like my friends even started to treat me different, and I didn't like that because I still hung out with them outside of school. Like,
That's
so
because
I'm
you're
like,
a freak, bro. You're a freak in the special class. With all the
I'm
freak
not.
kids.
I'm not a
No,
freak.
I'm
I
with
just
you.
happen to be really good at
treat you
math.
like
No,
the,
you
the
are.
X-Men.
No,
They said
you were
it's-
the white, you were the
just
cool
happen to
kid.
be good at math. They had other
No.
things. No, so listen.
Freak
So listen.
kid.
So listen.
No,
No,
Part of, no,
Question.
no. So listen. Real talk. Real talk. So part of being
but you were
part of
doing
being
witchcraft.
smart. So listen. Part of being smart is being able to recognize the genius in other people and recognizing where their strengths are and how to bring that greatness out of them. And I felt like the school was doing them a disservice by not trying to pull that out of them. You know what I'm saying? They were just so focused on me. Like every time I was in class, when I wasn't in my gifted thing, everybody turning to me, looking at me for the answer. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the wildest thing that ever happened to me in the 4th grade. It was a question about I think the word was either smart, some synonym to intelligent or whatever, right? Everybody in that
Gifted,
class
let's say.
wrote my name. Said Byron is really smart. I said, I'm in there like, yo, the teacher's looking at me weird. I'm looking at her weird. Like, yo, this is beyond weird. I said, I didn't like that. I didn't like the level of attention I was getting because I felt like they were still smart too. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yo,
they
this
just
is
weren't
this
He just
is
came in
what,
to
bro,
play.
this
Hold
is
on,
what
hold on.
y'all
This is the
niggas
most
is
virtue
trifling.
signal
Y'all
bullshit
niggas,
I've
y'all
ever heard in
niggas
my
is
life.
So you're
straight up
talking about
humble
lazy
bragging.
kids. So I
Y'all
need
are
somebody to
humble
make the
bragging
distinction,
so
bro.
hard.
Wiggle,
I've been waiting this long
Wiggle,
time.
go at it.
Yo,
And
first
then
and
Chris.
foremost,
But the
y'all
put-
niggas is so trifling with this humble bragging session of like,
Thank you.
no, I was so
Thank
gifted
you.
I'm
they
not-
wrote my name
I'm
on the
not
board.
trying to-
Thank
I'm
you.
not trying to brag.
People dressed up as
I'm not
me
trying to
on
brag.
July 4th. I was America. Like,
No,
yo,
I'm saying no, but that's real shit though, because that's
no,
super
no.
weird.
It is like,
Oh,
oh my god, he's
yo.
telling the truth. Like
I know
when
you telling the truth, but it's like, yo, that's some T'Challa shit, bro. Like, that's some like,
It's not.
yo,
It's
like
hard
they were
being
just like
so
walking up to
intelligent.
me like this.
I was in my school when I wasn't in advanced placement classes at middle school. I went to and graduated from. I was only there for a year, and I graduated my 6th grade year. They voted me most likely to be president, and
They
like
voted me most likely to be president.
I was like, what is this? I was like, I didn't understand. I didn't understand it. I was like, what is this? Like, this is weird.
Did
like,
you run? Wait, did you run? Did you?
No, like,
And when I measured my penis, the ruler was too small.
no,
I just,
No,
it's not the problem.
y'all some anomalies, man. Y'all
Okay, so
Professor
it's
X,
the
next
only thing I
generation.
wanted to push
So
back it on him was
Okay.
like the experience thing. Like, if your parents are doing their job, you're gonna get those experiences. And I was getting those experiences before I was even in school. You know what I'm saying? My parents would take me to the Discovery Museum and like have me see all this like really cool stuff. They were taking me on trips. Like, they were doing the extra to have me have experiences. So I feel
But
I
what's
feel to this
this-
day wholeheartedly
So
that if
what's
you
this
give
virtue
kids,
signal that
So
just
he's-
because you had more
It's-
intelligence,
no, I'm
you
not
shouldn't
saying I
have
didn't
been
have
allowed
more.
to learn
My
that?
He didn't
family
say
still
that. He
struggled.
didn't say that.
My
Don't do him
family
like.
still struggles.
No, no,
I'm
no.
saying my
Y'all are
parents
all on
went
this
out of their
whole
way
like.
to do more.
It
My
wasn't
parents
about
went out
being
of their way to do
smarter.
more. And what I'm saying is, if those kids were given the same opportunities and tools I was, they would probably, not all of them, but some of them would have exceeded even me because they had that aptitude. Because I see them later on in life and they're fucking killing that shit.
Maybe they're hard workers, but that's completely irrelevant to like the types of education. Like if you remember, like I don't know, I'm pretty sure most states have like standardized schooling. Like if you remember like going through like a standard and like you learn one day and then on the first day probably a lot of people in this class got it. Like, oh, okay, the teacher went over it, she did some examples, you got it. But then like 2 weeks later, like y'all are still reviewing that same standard and there's still like 50% of the kids who don't have it yet. Like it wouldn't be fair to them to say like, oh, they just need to be doing what I'm capable, like they need to be off in
that's crazy.
like that wouldn't be fair to them. Just because you have it, there is like a legitimate, like a lot of kids who do need like repetition to be able to process something. And that doesn't make them like not smart, and that doesn't have any like acknowledgement on their ability to be successful. Because I know a lot of niggas that I had better grades than that are more successful than me right now because they have better work ethics than me or they just went to a different field than me. But I'm saying like as far as education is a skill that people have different levels. Like at least formal education is a skill set that some people fit into better than others. Like I don't think that should be like controversial to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
So
something
I wanna-
actually.
okay, so Wiggle's not gonna like this. So, all right. So, in middle school, I kind of want to back up a little bit of what Smooth is saying here, a little bit, right? I'm not gonna. Wiggle, don't look at me like that. When I was in class, the teacher, like regular class, and again, I hated my gifted class. So I was always in regular class. My teacher, she would like point me out, right? Like most of my teachers would like point me out, like everyone, you got to follow his example. But one time, we were talking about like what you wanted to do as an adult, right? And like I had like a whole list of things, like, oh man, I want to be like an astronomer or like a biologist or like an archaeologist, some shit like that. Like I had like a whole list of things I wanted
I
to
wanted
be,
to be
right?
a comedian
And then
and
like
a
she
radio
stood me in
host,
front of
man. I don't know.
class for me to say that, right? And like, guys, why don't you should like this is the first step you should follow. I'm like, no, don't do that. No, don't do this. This is
ruler
not going
fit,
to
though?
help for me. What are you doing? Pull back. But I had that exact same experience. People knew who I was, and just around school, right? Like I was the smartest kid in school. That's what they said. But they knew me. They knew me.
Yeah.
Like around. Like I would just be walking around.
Sometimes
come
they
up
would
to
just
me.
have me sign their textbooks.
No, that's not it.
I remember one time I was just walking outside, and these two girls, I never met them in my life. They come up.
They asked
came
to
up
blow
me
me.
like,
Suck his
hey,
dick. Please suck
Prime? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Prime. And it's like, yeah, it's him. I'm like, who? What? What did I do? So like
The
that's the
chosen
type of,
one.
but that's the type of experience. Like, but the point I'm backing up here. Look, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Look, this is
These muggles would walk up to me.
Wait, hold on. But Prime's like 100% right.
And
Like,
they would say my
And then I
name.
And I
Is that
remember
Potter?
what my purpose was. It was to inspire them.
The Black Potter?
No, Wiggle.
I was put on this
wait,
earth
wait.
to
We
inspire.
can say this in like a much better way,
him.
okay? I was like the smartest kid in my school, and but I didn't have the experience that fucking Smooth and fucking Prime had, right? No, every kid who knew who I was, and every kid when I walked past them in the hallway would punch me in the side, and every kid would fucking throw me into the dirt and shove me in lockers
Really?
and kick my ass
You
at
gotta
recess,
fight
right?
back. Did you fight-
I
did you
didn't
fight
get the
back?
whole you should yeah, teachers would be like, you should be like this guy, and then everybody would be like, haha, we should be like you, and whoop my ass every day after school, right? Like
Really?
it doesn't always look like these kids are like walking up to you asking you to sign their textbooks and be like you, and like I want to be successful like this guy, right? Like sometimes I just straight up got bullied like really really fucking hard, and it was like awful.
That's the way that's the way it should be. You think people like
That's
the
the
fucking-
hierarchy, man.
Yeah, you think there's people you think like
Hold on.
Bezos or any president's going up there and not getting shit on by people?
You think Obama wasn't
handshake
bullied?
Every time every time Obama left that room, Joe Biden was like, nah. He's just like, damn, it should have been me.
They still bully Obama to this day.
To
man.
back up what Smooth was saying, like a lot of times I do think, like for example, like gifted kids got the best teachers, like the smartest teachers. Like my fucking biology teacher in high school had a doctorate, right? Like none of the regular teachers had
That's
the kids had this teacher, right?
The
Right?
other students at your school didn't know how to put on their clothes, so
I mean, no, some of them didn't, you know.
yo,
But,
you went to the most unequal school of.
That's the state of Ohio. Ohio public schools.
Straight up, that's some id cap school. Like there's kids that can't even put on their clothes, and they're like, "Don't worry about them. You need to survive."
Literally
you guys
like
make me
that.
sound like I was like disabled. I just meant they were like focusing on disciplinary stuff rather than education. That's all I was trying to point out there.
That's
But, like,
what
you
had-
did sound like they were
but,
learning
but,
how to
like
get
had
food
the kids
earlier.
that were like not in gifted classes had like the teachers that I had, or had like the had access to like the experiences that I had, I got whatever I wanted, right? Like and it sounds weird, but like if I needed like tutoring for something, like I had an easy way to go get it. Whereas like an average kid, like not as, unless you were like
you
a
stayed
special
average,
education
bro.
kid.
Y'all are
Right.
so
No, like I don't mean to like mean, right? Like
Pop,
and I
I'm
realized
sure
there's a lot of
these
life skills that I didn't have, right? I was,
Subhumans
like,
knew how to
crazy
get
as fuck.
tutoring, man.
But like 100%, like I'm not saying
those
that like
average
that
kids.
like a normal student,
These
right?
subhumans.
A normal student. I'm not saying that a normal student would have been like smarter than the smartest gifted kid, right? I'm not smooth out here being like, I'm fucking Jesus, but like if you gave them the resources I had, they would be Jesus too. But a lot of these kids probably would have had better school experience had they had like better teachers, better like design classes, better experiences. That like this funding doesn't get allocated to these students because in some school districts they just throw it all at the gifted kids because these are the kids who are performing. And when they perform, they bring up the averages on the state test and they get more money. Yeah, and also if you have kids enrolled in gifted programs, sometimes you get like targeted types of funding that you can't get for kids that aren't in gifted programs.
Which is a wrong thing. I think we should honestly fix that problem of funding in schools. But something we need to specifically acknowledge that we haven't yet in the conversation. I thought y'all was gonna be fighting me, so it would have been brought up. But there is a reality that there is a link between like, especially like in early elementary school, getting your way into the gifted program just from being from like an upper middle class household. They like had parents that taught you your alphabet before you started school and like gave you some level of head start. There absolutely were kids in the school that weren't like special. They weren't like like of higher knowledge. They just had parents that like wait. They gave them like a head start.
This is just false, right? So you're from Georgia. Listen, to get into the gifted program in Georgia, if you're in kindergarten, you have to perform in the top 99% of kids.
Correct. So and if your parents taught you your alphabet before you started school, you're gonna be in that top 1%. Like, because you like the things you're going over, you already you have a head start.
Hold on, yeah, but this like no one's saying that like having money equals gifted program, right?
So y'all was going to school to learn to read, huh?
Everybody knows to read. I'm not saying that you're like a wealthy kid who has like a stay-at-home mom who gets to read to you every night, and you have a mom, right? What?
We're not talking about you.
What I'm saying. Wait, hold on. Shut the fuck up, Gambit. I'm not saying it can't be done. Okay, I know kids who are like broke as fucking in gifted programs, right? But like, on average, right, your kids who are going to have better, like, come from wealthier families are going to have a parent at home who reaches them, who have access to things like a pre-K education that their family can pay for. People who have access to this type of wealth and stuff before they get to school and are given the resources beforehand are way more likely to get into a gifted program than a kid who, when they walk into kindergarten, doesn't know how to read yet, right?
It's kind of weird though that they
and maybe that kid who walks in and knows how to read, right? Off the rip, he fucking kills reading, right? He gets that shit down. He gets his letters down in fucking 2 hours, right? And that kid fucking sails through the fucking classes. But because he didn't get it, like, especially apparently in New York, where like they test you in kindergarten, apparently, like, if you don't get like into the gifted program right at the jump, it's so much harder to break into these programs later.
I would have had,
because these programs like build upon each other, like even if you are above the class, you can't just like jump you up because then you're behind all the gifted kids because you're in the regular classes and they're ahead.
I would have not been able, if I was in New York, I wouldn't have gotten to the gifted program because when I was,
I would have.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Don't underestimate yourself. I got in.
When I was in New York, try it again. If I had been in Wiggle State, right, I wouldn't have gotten in because as a 4-year-old, in fact, they were telling my parents that I needed to be in the special class, the remedial classes, because I couldn't tell my letters from my numbers, like. I couldn't do it. Like they were like trying. I remember my parents trying to work with me, and I was just like, "Is this a number? I don't know." And they thought like I was gonna be like held back, or like I was slow, right? But this is to your point, right? To Smooth's point. So like I was one of those kids, but give me a little bit, and I caught on or whatever, right? And then I excelled. But if they had let's take it to the next extreme, right? If they had simply decided my track immediately, right? So not only did I have not gotten into the gifted program, right? I wouldn't have been in the regular program. I'd have been in remedial education from the bat. Right? How much would that have?
Yeah, and if you didn't deserve to be there, you would have tested out of it.
But I'm saying
that
even if you has an effect. right? Like that happens with a lot of but that happens with a lot of black people. Okay, so a lot of black people get sent to the remedial programs. There's a
Yep.
Yes.
disproportionate representation of that, right? So it's not necessarily your skill, right? And then once that's in your mind that you're a remedial
That you're
kid,
dumb.
right?
You're mixing
it make you don't even want to achieve, right? It like has a psychological effect. So I hear what Smooth is trying to tell us here.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on, Gambit. So you know the whole thing. They use this analogy when they're talking about like black people and like economically, right? It's like sometimes some people start the race from like farther behind, right? Well, when you have gifted programs, right? The whole point we were talking about is that like kids should be taught at a pace in which is that meets what they need, right? So if you're teaching kids at a faster pace, they're going to get ahead. And even if you get to the point where you're in a lower class, right? You're in the regular class or the remedial class, and you're at a point where you could test out of it or like get or move up. Even if you move straight up, you're going to be behind the rest of the kids, and especially in like districts and stuff that don't have like one of the biggest things in the school that I went to, the white school that I went to that had funding, was that if you wanted to jump from regular to honors classes in high school, you had to have tutoring, and they would set aside time for you to tutor. You had access to tutors. This wasn't available in like my lesser funded school, right? When I went to the black school that didn't have a lot of funding, like if you were able to make that jump, you got thrown in, and a lot of the kids who would get thrown in for like a trial run would fail and fall back out because they were behind already. Like in third grade, we had a kid who was really fucking smart. He got moved up into the gifted program for like, they gave him like a 2-week trial, right? The kid was really smart, but like he couldn't keep up because like we were working on like division and he was working on addition and subtraction, and he hadn't got that down yet, right? And then so they were like, oh, well, obviously he can't hang. Well, it wasn't that he couldn't hang; it's that we were just ahead of where he was he was already.
But before, so I want to let you respond to that, and then we're gonna go to Chris and Azzy and Wiggle. All right. But I'm really important. Thank you for that. Really kind and rate 106 people. Most of you are already gone by now. But still, thanks so much for being here. My name is Prime. I do these panels. This is All Black Everything. We're having an interesting conversation on gifted programs, right? And how those things are, how race gets involved with that. We do closed panels like this. These are invite-only panels. We also do open panels, and we'll do one right after this. Audience members like you, sitting at home may be a part of it. If you want a chance to say your opinion on the internet, now's the time to do it, right? And maybe get invited to our invite-only panels too. We also do 1v1s. We do lots of stuff here, right? So we have lots of content for you. 6 nights a week, never miss a night. If any of that interests you, hit that follow button right now. Make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live 6 nights a week. Thank you so much. Again, IRI for the kindness. All right, go ahead. You can respond, Gambit. Then we'll go to Chris.
So I feel like a lot of this is just absolute nonsense, right? So if I can speak about Georgia. I can't find the requirements for New York. Everything just says 130 IQ. I can't find anything different from that. But
I'll put a table in the chat if you want to look at it.
All right, I'm in the middle of this game. I'll try to look at it in a second though. But so if you don't perform in kindergarten, I agree with y'all that it makes it less likely that you're gonna catch up. But it sounds like you're saying the kids that are excelling should be penalized in some way, or like there's no solution for like what is it called? Oh fuck, I can't think of the word right now. But there's the concept of like everything stacks and doubles, right? So if somebody gets ahead of you, then it's likely their advantage is going to get more and more,
Exponential?
Not exponential, but that does the job though. Okay. But yeah, if somebody gets ahead of you, it's likely that they're going to continue to stay more and more ahead of you. It's the same way money works in this country. So like saying that somewhat makes it unfair is weird to me. It's like just a virtue signal. It's like what other system could you design? If you're behind somebody and they're getting further ahead of you, of course, it's going to be less likely that you can like compete with them.
Right, but I gave you an example. Like I said, they get
Would've
like
read the
for
article
kids
in
who
English.
are on that, like if you're at the top of like let's say you're in the area where it's like you're like the LeBron James of like the remedial class, and you want to get into the regular classes, right?
You can do that.
Like that kid, well, yeah, but like that kid might need a little bit of extra resources, so maybe like some resources should go to that kid, right?
Yeah, like college prep
Actually,
courses.
if you're in the remedial class, you get additional resources for your school.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But college
But
if you're
a lot of
gifted
times,
and if
so
you're
a lot of
in
times,
like-
so actually, this is
we
really
gotta
good because a
move
lot
on.
of times
we gotta move on. We got other people. Right.
Wait,
But,
one
like,
thing.
make your
A lot of
final point.
times,
Hurry up.
funding gets sent to the remedial kids and the gifted kids, and the kids in the middle get fucked,
Yeah.
right? And it's not
Yes,
fair.
there's no
right?
special funding for the middle. I agree.
Okay, so let's go to Chris, Azzy Wiggle.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not about like lowering the rate, the speed of like the gifted kids like education. It's about like not like excluding experiences away from like the regular kids and and prioritizing their education. If they aren't learning that,
You're agreeing
like,
that they can't keep up with the gifted kids. So what are you saying? I feel like you're
No.
regurgitating the same like nonsense talking
That's
point.
not, I'm trying to get to what I'm like trying to get it right. You shouldn't be denied experiences like certain field trips, certain like having good teachers, right?
Why not?
And wait, what? Like why not? Like,
Why
right?
not
It's-
have good
if
teachers?
just
Oh my god, this is so silly.
I don't know. Like I can't speak to your experience in like in the school experience. Like TopDolphin is right when it comes to these regular classes. It is more of, like about like managing their behavior than it is about like teaching them
And
at
that's
their
the smart
pace.
kid's fault.
No, it's not the smart
It's the
kids' fault.
system's fault, man.
yes,
it's not
that's what
the
I
It's the
was-
kids.
system's fault.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude,
So the smart
how
kids
simple
don't have
is
the
it?
behavior
It's this
issues.
simple,
The
man.
other kids
it's this
do.
simple.
That's the
You want
system's
all
fault.
kids to be gifted. All right, you're not inherently smarter
That's
than
not
people. You want
realistic.
all
That's
kids to be
just-
gifted in your country.
Oh,
If
now
a
there's
small
no difference
percentage
in
of kids
IQ.
are
Okay.
therefore now
I
put in a
can't talk to
system
this. This
where you
doesn't
can't
even
get
make sense.
you're advocating for a
think
system
DSU
in
is
which
having a Goku
if you're
moment,
smart
man.
at a point in your life,
Why can't
then
we
all
all
of a
just be
sudden
friends?
you're put into a program where you're always going to be smarter than everyone else because you get so much of the resources to stay smarter than everyone else, and then that's the system you want to advocate for. You want to have like 10% of the people in your country achieve everything. No,
I was gonna
dumb.
acknowledge your like point, like Gambit, like when it comes to like these like regular classes, right? A lot of like it just wasn't that the gifted program kids or the advanced placement program kids were more well behaved, is that they were more laxed on us, period. Our punishments were more lax. Like we didn't get punished the same way. I remember we get in trouble for doing stuff all the time. It's just that when like we get sent to ISS, the ISS person in charge would be like, no, you don't need to be here. You can go ahead and leave. Or we didn't get punished the same way. We didn't receive the same type of
Oh,
discipline.
so your school had some kind of preferential treatment. Okay, cool.
Not even just
So that
my
colors your
school.
view.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of schools like in
Oh,
the
wait.
like in Ohio were like that, right? If you were like passing tests for them, if you were getting them that money, right, they were letting you kind of get away with a lot of shit, right? So like the disciplinary actions they took towards kids in like those regular classes was what were holding them back. If you were spending your daily time in ISS like from the jump, right, you have no like you don't think you can succeed because that's what the school puts in your head constantly. When you're constantly for every move that you make, right,
You're
they don't
saying
want to
that
deal with.
They show
Right.
favoritism somewhat to maybe better students. I'm gonna say, duh.
But that's
why
not.
should they? Why should they? Describe to me
That's
if a
just how
public
life works.
Oh, that's how life works. So a public education system that we all pay into should just have preferential treatment to people that like are better at
This
school.
is why I don't
What
listen to
the
GSU
fuck?
when he
What the
preaches the
fuck?
IT.
Bro,
That's why I
like
don't
what the
listen.
fuck? No, maybe that's how parents work. Or like not
Everybody needs to be
educators shouldn't be
engineers.
doing that.
My
No,
Spanish
what
teacher-
I'm- No,
Grab it.
you don't
So I don't
understand.
think any
Yo, that's
people are
like
saying that they shouldn't
cops
get
should
any.
treat people who are richer
Right,
better.
wait.
Because come on, that's how life works. They should just treat people who are in like
Protect the
nicer
rich.
communities
They have all
better.
the money.
Like, what?
They have
Y'all
all the
are just
money.
gonna
Why
make
would
it
I?
up. I'm not
Why
even
would I
gonna be able to
protect
talk.
poor people, man?
Hold on,
Damn it, I don't think
hold on,
anybody's
hold on,
saying
hold on,
that
sorry,
we
gotta get some other
shouldn't.
people home. We got some other
Yeah.
people in.
Y'all are
Azzy,
just
go
mean
ahead.
at this point.
Like this is really funny. Like I at first said that this conversation was a bit more nuanced, but like I didn't think we would go into the Professor Xavier's bright and highly gifted path, man. I didn't know y'all, but at the same time, y'all not that. Yeah, man, y'all ain't that exceptional, man. I after engaging with you guys over the long run,
I won't push back. I won't push back.
man, y'all are highly devoted. I give you that, but man, y'all were just in some really weird systems. I'll just tell you that. Like moving from New Jersey to New York, I can say that the New York public school system, unless you went to certain schools which were like built for the gifted, like if you were gifted, you went to a school. Like in most of New York, a lot of these schools are just like terrible, very just terrible, like highly just underfunded, or like there's the teachers weren't passionate, or the kids
You know who's
have no
helping with the
emotional.
funding of that school?
It's
The
not
gifted
even a
kids.
not even man.
Literally.
Bro.
Because even the
Bruh.
gifted kids, like I, as somebody who
No, they were
moved
bringing
in,
more
and then
funding
I
than you.
had to test into like the
No,
gifted
where the
program.
gifted kids bringing more funding to that school than you.
That's
were.
a
You
problem.
can get
We
funding
shouldn't-
for
we should
a
make
special
that.
education
Stupid.
program. That's
Like,
not how it
yo,
works.
what the
You
fuck?
get funding for special education. Like, why not? Why
Yeah.
what? And that's what I
Gifted
said. Like
is
a
special
lot of these,
education.
you know, because we are on the all black panel. Like a lot of our black brothers and sisters get pigeonholed in like the remedial special education,
You're not gonna
or
give them the
there's
school.
not a lot of. I
Yeah,
can tell you, like
bro.
for a fact, there is not a lot of academic intervention to make sure that somebody doesn't end up in a sped class. Like they're not giving you. There's no resource to make sure. And a lot of these kids do have the if you have a conversation with them, like they are a lot more. They have a lot more aptitude than a lot of the gifted and special. You know, like I was watching. No, I'm about to derail, but if anything, like I said, I wouldn't get rid of the program because there's a lot of opportunity within that program. They just need to stop pigeonholing kids in special education, or stop treating kids as if they have no aptitude. They don't. They're I feel like there's this overestimation of a lot of these.
I think
gifted and talented kids and a lot more esteem than they should be.
I think
They're like
what
very
we want to
normal
in those
like,
kids, right? We're seeing what we want to in those white and Asian kids, and we're seeing what we want to in
Exactly.
those black and Hispanic kids. That's exactly what it is. And as
And
it's
they're as dumb
amazing
as
that
could
you
be.
are now self-aware, like I'm about to derail. Wow, amazing! This isn't progress. This is a growth arc right here.
No, guys, that's why
Let's go
this
smooth.
is why y'all are maybe y'all out that some of y'all are still a little slow up in there, man. Because I derail on purpose. If y'all didn't get it, because this is me being the gifted and talented kid.
It's because we missed out on those
I'm
social
not
skills.
engaged
Okay?
right now. Like
We missed out on
You know,
those
like-
social skills. We don't
no,
understand.
this is
the
why
social
this is why we need wiggle on every single
derail.
level, because this is when I'm most engaged. Because when GSU tells me everybody needs to go and be an engineer, I'm just like,
Let's
no,
go
bro.
smooth.
This
we got a little bit of time. Smooth.
I can, but we gotta move on. Like
So
this is
it's
funny.
Bam first, then me. It's Bam. Go ahead, Bam.
Okay, I was about to say this will be really quick. Like I think we've talked about like with like the pros and cons of the issue. I think solution based. Like I think number one, we shouldn't be connecting like funding for education to like personal achievement. Like gifted kids shouldn't having gifted kids shouldn't be the reason your school gets more funding. Like we should actually properly fund all schools so like kids have a higher level of achievement generally. Now something that like Gambit hasn't said this, but what I feel like what I've gotten from the
I haven't
argument.
been able to talk.
No, but
Every time I say something, y'all start memeing
What?
and then it
What?
goes.
I'm- let me finish this.
Don't worry about it, man. You're
The
gifted. You've
emotional
got a lot of special
intelligence is-
attention in
and
your
that's
life.
another
Wait.
thing. After
Wait,
Bam,
let me-
I want to re-up on
I'm about to say it's smooth
So
next.
then,
No,
so then
hold
we,
on.
all right. So we might have been talking over Gambit, and I don't like that. So I do want to give him an opportunity. So Bam, finish your point. Smooth, make it quick, and then I want to
Okay.
get to Gambit.
Yeah. Okay. I think that like something that I like some people what Gambit is somewhat appealing to. Again, you can correct me in your statement. Like, is the idea that if gifted kids, like we should, if gifted kids in the way we currently do the system succeed on a scale of like a 9 out of 10, he's okay with that, even at the expense of kids in like regular classes success level being a 6 out of 10. I'm saying I would be willing to adjust the programs that brings everyone closer to an 8 out of 10, even if it brings the gifted kids down a notch. If it brings the overall average success rate of like the overall schooling, like people's education and success is like up to an 8 out of 10, I'm willing to do that for the slight expense of the gifted kids overall.
Okay, let's go to Smooth.
Okay, so for what you're saying, I would like to just expand the program to give more room to those people that actually have aptitude, to give them a chance. You know what I'm saying? To give them an actual shot at being great. I would also say, how do I say this? How do I say this? To say that like those kids that never got exposed to anything, like just fuck them, like that's preposterous, man. Like if they haven't been exposed to something, like when I got in that classroom, I wasn't exposed to division. I just happened to play a video game that forced me to know how to divide. You know,
Number cruncher.
That's exactly what. That's exactly what.
I happened to play Zelda, and I had to buy some potions, and I was like, I need 3 of them. How many rupees do I need? And so I did division through video games.
Everybody else is playing Pokemon, and that's
Zelda
what they were
got you in the
doing.
gifted program.
Everybody, this is why I asked
Like,
GSU
what are
if
you
you play
doing?
Sonic.
Zelda got you in the gifted program. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Really,
I
man?
really want to
Let him finish. Let him
I
cook.
learned division because I was exposed to it some type of way, and I'm saying kids need exposure to find out what their aptitude of learning what that is.
Gambit.
I wholeheartedly agree, bro.
We got
GSU, why think I asked you if you played Sonic versus if you played Mario? Like literally, you know what all I did? You know what all I did? Like before I got into
This boy
there's
got
like,
that
oh my God,
there's
no,
like
no,
a
sorry.
problem. No, because literally it's like the amount of problem solving you do in your when you're not in the school.
Oh my God.
The like what you're exposed to. Like this is why I say we overestimate the gifted and talented programs. It's literally if you just get a game that teaches you how to do something, you don't waste your time.
I think there's a lot to that. There's a lot to just kids having resources, right? I think that shows up in SATs, right? Where people are like, oh, that's like a testing your brilliance. No, it's a testing your ability to take the test, right? And if you had like a family that could afford to send you a private tutor, right, or to sit down with you and work with you on those exam questions until you got it, and like memorize like the bullshit vocabulary that you never fucking use the rest of your fucking life, right? If you had that, then you'd do better at that test like other people. So
They got rid of that so long ago.
Gambit, go ahead.
Which is
I want to give you
part.
space, so everyone like don't interrupt Gambit, please.
Let's give the
So
baby
this
boy
is-
some space. Huh?
This is the thing. Y'all are putting out this like, oh, if you're for the gifted program, you're not for fixing our like funding programs, which I talk like extensively about that on like every time we almost hear. So like everybody agrees that property taxes aren't everybody should agree. Property taxes aren't the best way to fund this. That still doesn't mean that there can't be extra funds allocated to the kids that are passing the test that we have that test intelligence and they're making the highest of grades on that. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have extra investment in those kids. So y'all are providing this like binary that's weird. And it's like, oh, well, you're doing this at the expense of everyone else. And it's not really like you could say that there are problems with our system, but like to act as if it's like some malicious thing or however you want to define that is weird to me. But like, yeah, like if we have
What is
kids
his
that
argument?
if we have
There are-
kids
Go ahead. But
if we have kids that
don't interrupt them. Gambit.
if we have kids that we know are in the top 1% of intelligence based off their age, there's nothing wrong with trying to manifest as much as we can from those kids. Like it makes just complete sense. Just like the kids that have the worst situation, we give special education funds to them as well. Like this just makes sense.
Go ahead.
well, we're talking about the people who are in the middle of the batch, man. Like Gambit, we have qualified
and you're presenting it
quantified
as a binary.
on paper disparities, telling you why your argument is bad, but you're holding on to it. I just want you to let you know. This article is literally telling you that the disparity is so deep rooted into the system that they need to now get rid of the system and start over. Like they literally had to do that to one of my mother's high school in Jamaica, Queens.
I think that's stupid.
The school system was so bad they literally had to get rid of the school and start from ground zero again. That's
We're
how
not
bad
talking
New York
about
school
one
systems
school.
can
We're
be.
talking about the entire state's.
Yeah, and it reflects a lot of the New York State. That reflects a lot of the schools. That's what the argument is. The system is so bad they have to start over. That's
New York does seem to have a
The
bad
tests
system
are
of
so
handling this.
bad that
like me moving from Jersey and having a conversation with I'm gonna call him a normie in New York. It was like it was like a culture shock for me. Like y'all are just like
You better shut
they
the
left
fuck
y'all
up.
to the wayside.
Okay. So Gambit.
God,
those kids that were left to the
Lee,
wayside
like,
should be in the same class.
we
with
need
the
to
top
start
1%.
over.
So
Like,
Gambit.
nuke all
I'm
the
not
school
saying that we
systems and
necessarily
start over. Like
Top
like-
Dolphin, Top Dolphin.
Yeah, so Gambit, I'm not with Black American Man. I'm not saying we need to bring down the gifted kids and bring up the like normal kids. What I'm saying is what I've been saying from the beginning is we need to make sure that kids get educated at the rate in which they're ready for. And it seems like that in New York City, what's happening, right, is specifically New York City public schools, is that a lot of kids who are African American and start off in worse life situations aren't getting access compared to the rest of the country where African Americans are still in shit situations like a lot of the time. They're getting less access in this one location to gifted programs than in other parts of the country, right? And it seems like the design of the gifted program is the reason to that, right? It's not that
That's what I keep asking y'all. What exactly about is it the 130 IQ thing? Like what?
No,
What
it's the fact that it's the problem is as somebody who works in the New York school system that they're always they will withhold standards. They won't teach you to the next standard until you show you are ready to learn the next standard, whatever that means. And the worst part is they do this through a test, and they only do this test once a season, when really they should be doing this test once a week. And
I don't know.
They should be doing the gifted program.
What it seems
the problem,
like
not their
that's
program.
the problem. No, the problem is
This is
because
serious.
the problem is that's a big issue. If you're literally trying to say I'm not gonna move on. It's not a gift. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's you completely
talking about
misheard
the
what I
gifted
said.
program, though.
Literally, I'm not talking. I'm just talking
That's
about
what we
for
talking about.
everyone across.
Yeah,
the board,
that's
for
what everybody
Black
else
and
is
brown
talking about. So
students
what the
within
hell
the
are you
New.
talking
You
about?
literally asked for the New York what's the problem with the New York school system?
No, I'm
No.
talking about specifically the gifted program.
Just the gifted program.
Yeah. So it seems like the
I don't know, we
design
already
of
answered
the
that
New York
question.
gifted program puts a lot of weight, an incredible amount of weight on a test that you take when you're 4 years old before you enter school.
Are you saying that they can't take that test after that?
It's
I'm
a
not
very
saying that
exclusive
they
program.
can't, but what I'm saying it seems like it's a lot
But
less
this is
likely, right?
everything.
So look.
Hold on,
So look.
wait,
to put it
damn
in
it,
the
you can say
plain-
that. Wait, damn it, you wait, hold on. Let me because it's you say this right, but compared to every other fucking state in the country, New York is doing way less, right? So even in the fucked up American education system, I live in Ohio, our education sucks. New York City is doing worse, right? So it seems to be that there's something about this
when you say
specific
they're
system.
doing worse, what does that mean to you?
Their gifted program is
Their-
far more exclusive
their
than
gifted
every other
program is
state.
racist as fuck.
Yes. Look,
That's
what
people,
they're
that
saying-
people who don't have
Again,
access,
again,
right? There's a ton of people who don't have access to certain things before they get into school, like preschool education, probably, or like tutoring before they get to kindergarten. That is causing them to not get into gifted programs initially and there isn't enough avenues for them after they get into school and start
Hey, Mike, I
kindergarten
gotta stop
to then
playing.
jump
So
into the
listen,
program.
So listen. This is a direct quote. It said, "The era of judging 4-year-olds based on a single test is over." They literally are saying they test 4-year-olds and go, "Bruh, we think you're gonna be a scientist, so we're gonna put you in this great class." Other
Like
dudes,
China, bro.
we
It's
pretty
literally
sure
like
you
China.
a dumbass. So we're gonna put you in this remedial class, and this other dude, we just gonna slide you over here with the rest of them.
all right,
Yeah,
let's
you
stop
and your
playing my
girl-
game so I can
That's what
listen
they
to y'all.
doing.
All right. So listen. It what you're saying is that you're using the 4-year-old thing and you think you're making a point, but you're not. They're looking at the top 1% of 4-year-olds and they're saying, this person in the top 1% right now, I think that this person has the potential to be great. So first off, our states allocate more funds for people that are in that thing to have a better program with the hope that those kids do turn out to be what they've tested to be shown to be. And then you're saying you're demonizing and saying that's bad. Like, what is this?
Because
Bro,
that doesn't
no,
prove
they
it.
not
The
giving-
only
hold on.
thing that proves is that you're
Because judging students before they've gotten to school on their performance in school is actually fucking insane.
Yeah, the only thing
Yes.
that proves is that you had a parent that taught you your alphabet earlier than the other kid did. And that doesn't that's not a merit on like your ability to learn or like your ability to process information. All that says is that you have a better home life
Bro,
that your parent taught you.
bro.
And the second thing, pushing back because TopDolphin brought me up, like the reason why I was saying that like I would be willing to like bring kids down to 8 because there's also studies that show that kids who like there is some level of truth to having like not taking all of the smart kids and pulling them out of the class. Having the smart kids take the regular classes and like show signs of success actually seems to like spread out among the other kids and bring them up to a different
And
degree.
it probably seems to hold back the top 1% of students.
And I'm okay doing that to a degree if it brings up everyone else.
Yeah,
What is
you
this
made it
holding?
crystal
You
clear that
can't
were-
hold. You can't. This arbitrary argument. You can't hold back the 1% of students.
can.
They're going.
Yes, you
no,
can.
you can't. No, you can't, man.
Yes, you
Literally.
can.
This is
No,
oh
you-
my god! Please
How
stop.
so?
Okay, okay.
No, I need him to prove the positive. How do you
Azzy,
hold
Azzy,
them back?
I'm gonna give you an
Because
example. I'm gonna give you an
they'll know
example.
less than they otherwise would have.
I'm gonna give you an easy example. My 12th grade year, my math teacher wanted to teach us physics because there were 4 or 5 of us that were ready for physics. However, he couldn't teach it because everyone else in the class made an F on literally every assignment. So they switched our class from physics to a lower math, which I could have got more knowledge on more math before going to college had I not been pigeonholed to the entire class. Stuff like that happens all the time. So if you are,
But that doesn't reduce your aptitude in life.
Isn't physics science?
And math.
Let's
It's
go
science
to
and
Wiggle.
Wiggle.
All right. So think about it, man.
Isn't
The
time
more you
out.
learn, the more knowledge you learn, it's human capital. All right. And these students, right? You're saying they earn more money for the school. So like they are workers and their surplus value is extracted and exploited by the school. No, I'm fucking with you. But realistically, man, it's not that hard. It's really simple. It's like I'm fine with Goku and Vegeta. I'm fine with Gohan having time in the hyperbolic time chamber. You just gotta do
No,
something
he
for
shouldn't have
Yamcha.
access to hyper-
You gotta
No,
do something for
everybody should have
Yamcha and
hyperbolic
Tien.
time chamber.
Okay? You gotta bring along some other
It's
niggas
that
so that we
simple,
can get a
bro.
season 5. All right, that's all
Bro,
I'm saying. You
I'm
can have
tired of-
time in the fucking hyperbolic time chamber. That's cool.
Yes.
You deserve it. Just do
Piccolo
something for
lives
the people
next
on
to the
bottom.
hyper.
I'm saying give
Piccolo
it.
literally.
I'm with you.
That's.
I'll
oh my
compromise. I'm with you.
goodness.
All I'm saying is there's a large group of people that look at you and look at the other people on the panel that are in these programs and say, see, the state's done it. It's enough. And if you are like,
so-
you know what? I like this and we should do more. That's great. I don't have a
And guess
problem with
what?
you.
And
I
guess
have a
what?
problem with the people who are like,
Oh.
this is the example of success. We should stop here. And that's it. That's it.
Hold on, Gabby, do you want to
Piccolo
respond?
literally lives next
I
to
don't
the
even
hyperbolic time
understand what
chamber,
just happened.
and
You
he's
took the
still
wrong
laughing.
thing from that analogy.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So real quick, Gambit, I want to ask you a question. So do you want to grade somebody's aptitude to play a sport based on how well they play the sport as 4 years old?
Can I answer your question? Are y'all gonna allow me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Answer my question.
Probably
All right,
not. No.
the kids, and I even see this because I've coached like small kids and I've seen them grow up. The kids who do far better in basketball at younger ages make the team. They get coaches. They get special treatment. A lot of them end up going to AAU, and they consistently stay above their peers. It's the same thing with academics. The people who the earliest start to show signs of exceeding expectations, they generally are put into a situation where they exercise that skill more. And over time, there's going to become more of a gap between that person and the average person, and the other people aren't going to be able to catch up. That's just with everything.
Michael Jordan
Hey,
got cut.
Okay, so I have
okay,
a
wait,
quick- I have a
hold
quick
on.
second.
So a better
Wait,
example
wait.
would it be better? Would you rather like?
Let him respond.
Wait, hold on.
Wait.
Would you rather have
Oh
them?
my god!
He asked his question.
Stop,
Let's move
stop. Smooth. Finish your point, and then you can try.
Yeah. So then my second question is: so are you okay with there being a set amount of people that can get in? That no matter how well you do, if you're number 51 and there's 50 slots, oh well, too bad. Even
don't
though
have
you
infinite
are of that
resources.
level.
We don't have infinite resources. Yes, I'm okay with some arbitrary limit.
It's
We
a
We should
There's
have
no way
enough
you-
resources. We should have enough resources for our children.
We only have
All
so
right,
much
in their
oxygen.
education.
Everybody's not gonna
That's a different
survive.
problem now.
You
Hold on,
don't
Gambit.
shake your head,
I-
man.
I'm-
Don't
wait,
shake.
Gambit.
I bet the
This
same
isn't
type
serious,
individual.
Will. You're not being
I'm not
serious.
arguing.
You guys
I'm
should. Oh
not
my God,
being
you
serious.
so much
First and
nonsense.
foremost, first and
Yeah.
foremost, yes, I am being serious, man.
I doubt it.
I imagine
know you.
individuals who say the same shit like this are the same motherfuckers that at 65 are gonna be like, the government should give me more. I look at all I've given to the country. The government should give me more. Give something to the fucking kids, bro. Like we don't have infinite resources. Well, you know what?
You're mixing shit. We
Giving
invest more money
first
in our
and foremost, giving money to
Apparently
kids for their
Bitcoin.
education,
Like,
funding
this is the
education
weirdest-
will give your country more
Wait,
money
wait,
in
wait.
the end. It's like one of the
Wait.
most simple concepts.
Wiggle.
Look
Wiggle,
at
do you
how
think-
much money you
Wiggle,
give
Wiggle.
the country.
Hold on. Let me ask
and
you a
why?
quick question.
Because of the education you received.
Okay, he's just gonna keep talking.
Okay, you guys are
Wiggle,
strong
do you
the
think
fuck out
I'm
of
a
Gambit
girl?
right
You
now.
can't be
Holy
doing
shit.
this. You can't be saying that you get cut off all the time, but
Do you
you try to
think
cut
I'm
me off all
against
the time.
More money in
I love it.
I thought
Thank
you was
you,
gifted.
Wiggle. Thank
Like,
you for
wait,
self-awareness.
Because you're
I
talking
know
about something.
for self-awareness.
One at a time. And right now we're in bonus time, guys.
So
if,
smart,
if,
yet
if
so
anyone needs to
silly.
leave, that's fine.
So
but
Wiggle-
go ahead,
Wiggle,
Gambit.
let me give you an easy question to see if you should be in the gifted program. Do you think I'm against putting more money in education or not?
No, I don't think so. That's why
Okay,
it's annoying me.
Don't mix conversations.
No. It's not about not mixing conversation.
With the
Is
reality
that
of now.
you're speaking from a perspective of, let me justify the system that we have here, the status quo. We have finite resources. This is what we should keep. Instead, I thought you were a progressive. I thought your ass is supposed to be asking for more. Yet you're over here justifying the systems as they be. Get the fuck out of here with that
Oh
shit,
my
bro.
God. Wiggle, that's the biggest virtue signal
Yes,
I've ever
my
seen in my
brother.
life.
Virtue
Hey,
signal,
so-
virtue signal, motherfucker. I pay my taxes. I skeet. I wake up. I eat. I'm not virtue signaling. I'm just telling you how it is, bro. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, kids should get more fucking money, bro. Once I have kids, I'm not gonna be saying that shit, bro. You have kids. I'm surprised you're saying that. Probably because your kids are gifted. Your kids are probably very smart. You're a smart guy. You probably make sure your kids get the best future. Not everybody has that ability, bro. The state needs to be able to help everybody.
This is simple understanding that like everyone won't be in the gifted program. If you come from this presupposition that we can modify the system such that everybody is gifted, you're silly.
No.
And this is probably why
You
No,
modify
that's
the
not-
system.
program.
You modify the
I just
system
don't
so
understand that.
everybody that's a level below the gifted gets a better education, and the gifted kids can still be in a gifted program. I don't give a fuck about the gifted kids in their program. Fine, keep them
So
there.
you're agreeing with me.
They're
So you
doing
agree,
well.
so you agree with me? We should put more money in education, but we should still have a gifted program. Cool. All right, cool.
I
We
said
should close
that.
the gap.
I said that.
We're okay with the
What?
gap.
Chris,
What
give it a try.
nonsense?
Chris,
Program. They're just gonna do it better.
Chris.
Is this how we use the English language? Is this where the education is going to?
Oh my God, Chris.
Nah, did you just hear what he
Oh my
said?
God, shut up, Chris.
Look,
Don't let
when
that slide.
there was I went to school in Kentucky for a little bit. There was a white school property like taxes in the neighborhood was very high. In that school, even though I was in advanced placement classes, across the board, kids had good teachers, good programs, like extracurricular activities, all these things, right? Whether or not you were in the gifted program. I was in band class with like kids were in regular programs. I was doing math classes with other kids and stuff like that, right? It didn't matter because across the board, kids were like having higher test scores. They were just doing better across the board. Where you get to a place and to a school where like because you like they prioritize the like students who are passing these tests and are doing better and are bringing up the grades of the school so much that they neglect the other kids to a point where they don't care whether or not they almost literally don't care whether or not how good they're doing on these tests, right? How good they're doing in their school year. They'll if they need to have a kid like put in ISS for like half the year that they're in school and they're not learning shit, they don't care, right? They'll let that kid be there. They'll let them sit, right, and be held back. Whereas in other schools, that's not happening, right? You would like in that white school, they would never like if there was a kid like that who was like doing that badly, they'd do everything possible to make sure that's not happening, right? Where in these,
I don't know. I've been in those white schools. They'll let them suffer too.
Yeah.
They'll let
This
them
is
think
really
too.
y'all perspective on life. Are y'all really speaking like what y'all?
You were
think?
pulling it like only the strong survive. Like I think
Oh,
which is like really weird. I feel like you should. I feel like I feel like the middle ground is like I feel like the middle ground is saying that like yes,
Everybody
programs-
needs to be engineer.
The middle ground is saying that yes, gifted programs should exist, but they're all like we should look to close the discrepancy in like achievement between being in a gifted class and being in a regular class. We know that like life isn't perfect and everything isn't going to be absolutely equal. No one in a conversation made that argument, but you seem to be okay with like the gifted kids doing like 10 like exponential points better in life than like the average kid. I don't think it has to. I don't think that's. I don't think it has to be like that.
1%.
I don't
There's
think
a
so.
distribution. There will be outliers. There will be people that are far better than
understand
others.
statistics, the 1% will never be hurt because their aptitude is always higher. And at the end of the day, as we age, that 1% is still going to make certain decisions that will put them in a position.
I don't know why everybody's
stop this. The
strawmanning
1% is going to be harmed.
Address what I said earlier about the kids being in about like the gifted. No, I was talking to Dolphin because he brought up something I said. What I said about regular kids, like a gift, like kids who are smart, being in the classroom with regular kids and showing signs of success does tend to bring up the other kids to a varying degree. Do you disagree with that statement?
I never disagreed. I just don't think that you should hold back. I'm a Gambit. I don't think you should hold back the gifted kids.
I think
because
it's
kids
for the benefit of
kids
everyone
who aren't taught to their education level also like cut up more in class and like do shit. So if you take
that's like saying we shouldn't tax billionaires. That's like saying we shouldn't tax billionaires because
education should not be a tax, dog. We can take money from these people, but we shouldn't steal like educational opportunities from people because they're better. That is the most.
What are you guys talking about?
All day. Holy shit!
How economics works.
Gambit.
These are job creators. All right, why are you holding them back?
Oh
they
my
give
God.
us everything.
You guys are
Gambit.
Okay.
Now I understand why some people bullied, man. I got bullied for some things, but Top, you weren't bullied because you were smart. It's because of the bad takes that come out your mouth, man.
All right, get out of here, Azzy. Okay, you haven't said a fucking useful thing. You just rambled for 20 minutes. Okay. Okay, Gambit. All right, I'm trying to bridge this gap with you, Gambit. Okay.
There's no bridge.
So my biggest problem with the New York City system, right, is it seems like one. It's much easier to get in the program initially than it is later, especially in like first, second, third grade. It seems like, and two, entry to these programs is based on a single test. They take it every year, but like most people take it like the year that matters the most is when you get into fourth grade.
Dude,
when you're 4 years old before you go into kindergarten.
Let them build it.
You gotta shut them up. So
let them build it.
A good alternative. Let me see if you'd be against this, right? A good alternative, right, could be that like teachers fill out evaluations for students, right? In the first couple months of their kindergarten experience, and say, hey, these kids are gifted. Let's move them up, right? or allowing kids to move up, not based on a test that they take, but based on teacher recommendation. These are things in the New York system that don't exist,
I
right?
completely disagree.
Teacher recommendation, that's going
You
to
don't
get
think-
very biased very fast.
Yeah, I think no.
So the test
Should be
isn't
the
the
test.
problem. The problem is access to the test and access to the actual
Wait,
classroom
no,
itself.
everyone takes
So
this test,
we need
right?
to give them. We need to give them a second opportunity at some point to actually
No,
be able
but
to.
they get opportunities
That's
every
literally
year
what-
until they're in 5th grade. Yeah, okay. They get other opportunities, but it seems like you can say teacher recommendations are bad, but I think that classroom performance, current classroom performance, is a lot better indicator of how someone does in class than a language reasoning test you take at 4 years old, right? Seeing if a kid is constantly outperforming his classmates in class, and the teacher can recognize that, and the kid is getting straight A's all the time, right? A teacher should be able to say, "Hey, this kid needs to be bumped up," and that kid should be able to be bumped up.
No.
So this
100%.
goes back to what we were saying way early on. So you think does that mean class work, your work ethic matches your actual intelligence aptitude? Because you could take someone with great work ethic that does their work, but if you do your work on the regular classroom, you're probably gonna get an A. And you know what I'm saying, and just basically read and all that other stuff, you'll probably get an A. But the problem comes with you're gonna then take that average person and put them in a gifted room,
and they're gonna fail.
Fucking fail.
Hold on. I can tell you this 100%. A teacher can tell the difference between a kid who can complete his work and the kid who's sitting in the corner of the class fucking masturbating because he has no fucking time to because he finished his class. Because he finished his fucking multiplication so fast and is sitting in class for 30 minutes doing nothing because the rest of his class hasn't finished yet. Right? Teachers can tell the difference between these
masturbating in the back of the class. Not know why you're getting bullied.
You guys said I treated normal students like they can't dress themselves. You guys are treating teachers like they can't fucking dress themselves.
Let me ask you a question, because you were talking to me. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why can't that teacher talk to those parents and say, "Hey, maybe you should get your kid to take the test because I think
but the kids already take the test. That's the problem, right?
So the kid failed the test.
No, but what it seems like
the
is
kid
the kids
didn't pass it enough.
The kids who get in, the kids who can get in when they're 4, right? It's much easier to get in when you're 4 than to get in later because a lot of times the standards are higher. So if you're 4 and you're in the top 90th percentile, you can get in. But then when you're in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, it's 90 to 97, dog. I literally have it pulled up on my second monitor right now, dog.
Can you send it to me? Can you send it to me?
Hold on.
I'm talking about Georgia first off. That's what I was saying.
Georgia's fine.
It's all based on fucking New York, dog.
I know. I'm not
You're good.
disputing you on New York. I'm telling you that, and I'm just trying to tell you, in Georgia, you have to be in the top 99% K through 2nd grade. You have to be 96% 4th to 12th grade. So the standard gets easier. I was gonna give you that to ask you what the standard in New York, because y'all keep saying shit, but y'all aren't backing it up. Nobody sent me anything with these numbers.
It's in the thing, and it tells you all the breakdowns of all the things. Okay,
Bam has
it's
said
90 to 95% when you're 4, and it's 97 when you're later.
Also in Georgia, the stat is showing 10.4%.
And when you take the test later, you have to take it it's a different format later in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade than it is when you're in kindergarten.
And New York is 1.5%, which is below the national average, which is 6.4%.
Maybe I sent you the wrong thing. This might not have the percentages.
No, this is in the thing I sent earlier. It's got every state and it's got the percentage of gifted kids separated by race and gender. For that state, and the national average is 6.4%, yet New York only 1.5%. The average,
look at what they look for.
The percentage of students who qualify for gifted classes is the national
harder metric.
Yes, they have a harder metric. Only 1.5% of kids in New York get to be in the gifted class, which is probably too exclusionary since it's way below the national average.
And look at what they look for in the OSLAT. Literally, it says verbal comprehension and verbal reasoning. Literally, if you're in a house.
And so, in Georgia's at 10%, which is 1 in 10 kids.
So I don't care if it's only 1% of kids are in gifted programs. I think the problem is
that could be a problem.
That
1% of black kids.
Is it? Well, no. What I'm saying
it's less than 1% of black kids.
The problem is that necessarily that the percentages seem to favor people who have access to education early on, and isn't allowing people based on compared to the rest of the country, isn't allowing kids to get in who would get in later, who like can necessarily catch up to those kids, right? Because it's harder to get into the programs if you don't initially get in and you don't have some sort of like initial like test prep. Like the website I linked to literally has like it's saying like get your 4-year-old like fucking test prep. You know, like poor kids aren't getting access to that.
And this is the test. And like I said, look to what they're looking for these two tests, the OSAT and the INAT or INAT. Like literally look for everything that all the things that they're looking for.
Where in the link that you sent me does it say the metric gets harder?
It's like to the bottom. It's it says like 90, but it's usually 95. There was one that I was looking at that had a chart. This one doesn't have it. It says admissions to the gifted and talented program in New York City requires a score of 90 for a district-wide program and 97 for citywide programs. Here,
it's not saying it gets harder over time.
And if you click here,
you said specifically it gets harder over time, and that's how we got here. So you didn't read your own link. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and here's the other
one. I
was
just trying to make sure you didn't read this before you sent.
Yeah, there's another page that there's like a chart. It shows that in K through 3 it's like 90 or higher, though in practice it's 95 or higher. For citywide 97, though in practice it's 99 or higher.
Can you send that to me though?
It's in the ABE chat.
Oh, it's your second.
Yeah, you scroll down and see the program, the thing.
Like, don't you see how problematic it is to be testing 4-year-olds for?
No, these are fine things. These are fine things to test.
But don't you see
these
how
are fine things to test 4-year-olds on? But a lot of times, these aren't the only indicators of like classroom performance. This would be like a lot of schools use IQ tests because they are really good indicators of things, right? But using only an IQ test and no other data is really problematic because it leaves out students who like break the IQ test scale because IQ isn't a great indicator, right? Or this test isn't necessarily a great indicator of whether or not you will perform well in school. It's more of a great indicator of whether or not you take the test well, right? And so what I'm saying is,
hold on, wait. Were you in the gifted program?
Yeah.
Because this link still doesn't say what you're saying is saying. It's talking about the difference between qualifying between district and citywide, but it's not saying later in life the test gets harder. Nothing in any link you sent says that.
Wait, hold on. In the first chart, it says that like the first test is for kindergartners. Hold on. Okay, you're right. It doesn't explicitly say that. But
it says K through 3 for both of them. You weren't gifted.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. No, wait, hold on. Go back. On the first page, the first test, the 4-year-olds, they have to point at things.
Really?
Okay?
Are you really being
like the kindergartners, first and second and third graders, the kindergartners, first, second, and third graders, or like the kindergartners have to take a point test, and everybody else has to bubble things in. Okay, so the kindergartners test is easier by default. Okay. And
just don't say stuff
if you use like fucking if you use like logic and reasoning skills, Gambit, okay? If you logic and reasoning skills, if the people who do better on the test, right, are explicitly people who have access to like education before education, then maybe you should look into possibly expanding like the metrics that you use to get people in the gifted and talented test.
Wait, what?
The pre-K program, and we have that in Georgia. Y'all should get it in New York. I don't know what to tell you.
So you have
not everywhere
for the system. Like,
Hold on, wait. How brain dumb? Like, do you think I have no criticism?
Because that's what you've been arguing. That there's
chill. I understand you're in the gifted program. We're still human beings here.
Let Gambit.
I'm bullying GSU.
Guys, let's
why are you guys so normal? Why are you so
I shouldn't have been in class with you, Wiggle. Like, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm joking, for real. But no, seriously though. Maybe you're new to me. I don't think we've met before. But I've levied a lot of critiques at our education system.
I'm not talking about the education system. I'm talking about specifically the New York gifted system. I'm saying you have criticism of the way they're currently doing their system.
That was a critique of their education system, statewide pre-K. That's not a critique of the gifted program.
So you have no critiques of the way they run their gifted program. You don't think it's too exclusionary. You don't have an issue with the system of how they decide the kids to make it.
He's saying protect the 1%.
I'm saying that
Or at every step of the way.
I'm saying that y'all haven't presented anything real to me. Y'all
Did
have
you look
said
at? Did
stuff.
you look at my table?
I haven't, and I'm trying to explain to you why. If you'll let me talk, I first had to go down this thing with Dolphin because I knew he was lying, but I had to be sure because I
Oh,
could have
I
been
haven't
wrong.
lied at all.
Okay,
but
let him
Provided
finish.
2 links. He completely was lying. Now, if you want to tell me your lie, I'll look through your link and I'll look at your lie. So, what's your lie? So I can look into that too.
I'm specifically saying that the New York program seems to be far too exclusionary on the kids that it lets in. Like, it's not saying that there aren't enough kids that qualify as gifted. It's saying that we're only allowing the elite of the elite. And if you aren't like the less than half of a percent,
I get what you.
yeah,
I was
but I'm
gonna get-
saying,
I understand where you're going.
okay,
So
yeah,
you
get the kid.
understand that there's going to be a national average. There are going to be schools that are higher, have more kids than the national average, and there's going to be states that have less kids than the national average. Because of the way statistics works, we know that everyone isn't going to be the same number, right? There's going to be a distribution. So what you're saying is, hey, maybe New York should increase. I don't have a problem with you saying that. But what I'm saying is that there's always going to be a state has less kids than average. There's going to be states that have more kids than average. So
Correct.
it
And
seems
if that's
weird.
even the problem, then maybe we should critique the system that's doing less than average if they're having more issues than the
Yeah,
states that
I
have
don't
more.
understand. GSU, you need to relax because your argument is not that complex, and we fully comprehend your argument, and we keep saying, and we need to expand.
Yo, hey, Bam.
Saying
You
that.
do understand that someone has to be less than average, correct?
But
Yes, we
within a
understand
degree,
that.
saying so if the national average is 6% of students, being at less than 1% of students is egregiously low. Like it's not even in the ballpark of the national average.
We're not
That's what I'm
saying
saying.
we're gonna have spots for everybody on on grade level. We're not. No one's
Well,
asking.
Like saying that, like I'm saying, like if the average school allows like 30 kids into the gifted program, and you say we're only allowing the top 2 into the gifted program, and everyone else gets stuck with a subpar education, then like that's an egregious level. Like that's like it's not saying we know that there's going to be difference for some school, but that is a criticism to be had.
So this is a far better point, right? So what we would say is, hey, maybe you need to be within whatever amount of standard deviations that we want. But just criticizing them because the number is lower is wild. So that's why I asked questions. So now you're saying, hey, I feel like there are so many standard deviations away from the average that is preposterous. I can agree with that. Like I said at the beginning, when I first responded to you, I was like, hey, yeah, maybe it's possible that they should increase that number, but critiquing it solely because they're the lowest number is weird to me.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
so
the lowest
if-
number, and they're having like worse outcomes than a lot of
Yeah,
other
and
places
if
in their
we're
public schools.
advocating,
What do you mean by worse
Wiggle said multiple times,
Oh, wait,
if they're
can I-
one
can I-
standard deviation away,
do you mean
include
by
them in the
worse
class.
I'm saying that I'm saying from anyone again. This is I'm sure I could demonstrate those numbers. I just don't have the numbers on hand in front of me. I could Google them in a minute. But I'm saying that according to people who talk about the New York public school system, the New York public school system sets children up to fail. Like when we talk about the school to prison pipeline, that is increasingly so when you're dealing with
And
the
the
New York
gifted
public school
program is
system.
doing that. Why are we switching topics?
No, I'm saying if we,
Why are we switching? Why?
I'm not switching. That one goes with the other. Pay attention. Pay attention. No, listen. Keep up. You was
Go
gifted.
for that.
You should get this. Now,
gifted, that's
if
why I know these things aren't correlated at
GSU
all.
just know how to
No,
work
listen-
hard, bro.
Listen now, if your gifted program is exclusionary, that means you're having a larger group of people in the regular classes. And if your regular classes are more subpar, like are extremely subpar and leading towards outcomes, that means we need to get more people into the gifted programs by expanding the gifted programs. And
Wait, let me ask you a question because I
What's
know
up?
you know the answer to this. You think all these gifted programs have the students secluded away from others? Or do you think it's possible, just like we have here in Georgia?
no,
that
it's not like Georgia. That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's
So what you're saying
completely
is that
different.
every gifted student is
Yes, they go to completely
secluded
different
away.
schools. Yes, they're not even in the same schools. That's what I'm saying. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's a criticism.
You have something that
Okay.
that says that?
Chris, do you want to put the
He-
fight?
Yeah,
literally,
it's
the
in the article. It
given
says
to
that
you.
I got it.
gifted
None of-
and
anyone-
talented
none of
kids are
your
sent
names,
it to
Chris.
different
None of your
schools
names
that
are
get
Chris.
more funding.
None of your names are Chris. All right.
Yeah,
And
like,
when you do that, no one hears you. When you like try to talk, literally no one hears you. So it's like no point in doing it. So Chris.
Yeah, I agree with Gambit. Outside, like when it comes to every other situation outside of like New York, like there's some issues with the giving program in Ohio, but not to the point where you need to eliminate it altogether. I think what we were like, what we were talking about, and like I didn't address this again because Bam had brought up in the beginning. There's something particularly egregious about New York's system in general, right? Like that, it needs to be redone from the ground up. There's like it's a huge issue. Not even that there's just 1% of people getting in the gifted program, even way less of even like black kids are even getting into it at all, right? If you like, it's all like they were saying, it's all white and Asian kids, right? And they're getting prioritized. So that leaves like black children, like there's something wrong where like they are getting excluded to a point that is insane, right? And like when Bam was bringing in the prison school to prison pipeline, right? He's exactly right. There's a huge problem in New York because of that, right? Not because of the gifted program. It's because the way that they prioritize how they teach in school, how they prioritize their students, and they're separating schools out, like gifted programs out of schools in general, right? You have an entire school that's separated as like all gifted kids, all honor kids, right? And then you just toss the other kids in the lower performing school, and you just leave them to rot. And that's a huge issue.
And I said this to you before. A lot of these people, a lot of these students in these gifted and talented programs are talented. They just know how to work hard. They just know how to work hard. They do all the work. They get the high grades. They know how to study, which is different.
And
just
better
knowing how to
stable home
study.
lives.
Yeah, like not even the stable home life, because I knew some Asian kids who had terrible home lives, but they were still, gifted and talented, and they deserved to be in the program. It's just they were just exposed. They knew what to do. The qualities of the gifted and talented program are exclusive to these gifted and talented students, and a lot of them don't need to be there. A lot of them, that's what we're saying, expand those qualities, if not to the other students, or bring some of those students, expand. They can add 15 more people into the classrooms, man. Sometimes those gifted and talented classrooms only got 15 kids. They could put 15 more kids in there, and just lighten the load on the other, teachers. Just allow them to be in the room and be exposed and know what to do, even if they fail. Just being exposed to that can just change your trajectory in life. Just being in the room will change your trajectory.
I sent a link. Okay,
I just don't understand.
I got you. Okay. A 2000. The link I sent.
Yeah,
a 2006 study shows that students who
GSU
score
needs numbers. He doesn't understand that there's qualifications to this, and everything is not quantified. Like, there's not always going to be statistics. There's a lot of, if you know statistics, there are a lot of random variables that will skew those deviations and skew those results that people do not advocate for. They just ignore them completely. And this is what the New York school system is. A lot of those variables have expanded so much, it's been normalized, where the 80% of the bell curve are being ignored, and the 10% at the top are the gifted and talented, and the 10% at the bottom of the bell curve are the special education. Those are the two programs that get the most attention. Everybody else is left to wayside.
All right. So now that Azzy's done with his bullshit, okay? I sent a link
He
in
can't
chat.
be saying he's done with his bullshit.
A 2006 study.
Oh, yeah, that's what that shot.
A rerun.
This is
All
why.
right, Azzy, we got it. I gotta go back to church. I got you, Azzy. I don't have manners. Okay?
You do need to go back to church, because that's where all the excellent
Nah,
black
even
people-
Jesus can't help.
This is why you got bullied.
In the article
This
I
is why
sent
you didn't fight back, bro.
It's
'Cause
under
even
point number
Jesus
2,
fought back.
third paragraph.
You should have went to
I'm
church.
reading that.
You need to go back to
Under
church.
point
pal.
number
You
2,
really
third
do need to go
paragraph,
back to
it says
church.
a
He's
2006
not
study.
gonna let us talk.
A
I
2006
don't,
study.
because you're gonna loop. I really don't.
A
And we're gonna be
2006
stuck
study
here.
that showed that the
Listen,
students who scored in the top 5% of the test in 1 year, about half of them will score in the top 5% next year. In other words, if they were tested again the following year, up to half of the gifted students wouldn't make the cut.
Also, under the same source that you linked, Dolphin, it even says like if your child has scored a 90 district minimum or 97 citywide minimum on the gifted and talented test, then the next step is to apply for specific schools. Like you don't even go to the same school if you're gifted.
But
Like they do
So-
over.
This doesn't
So I
matter.
read,
This doesn't matter.
So hold on, wait. I
Because
wanna,
like you're the person who made this report wasn't in a gifted program, so therefore like their data is just flawed, so you can't use it.
Okay,
No,
so,
but like, dude, we're not saying get rid of your like gifted program. Like, you can have the same gifted program, just widen the ability to get in it and have more kids in there. There's
So-
gifted kids
so-
there that are not in the program. We want all gifted kids to be in the program. That's it.
I'm just
There's
saying
limited
that-
resources.
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying if you want to exclude more, that's fine. Just don't pre-select for measures that only high income people have access to.
no, I think that I think they should have a national pre-K program. I think that's
This is
sounds-
where-
that
this is where
sounds
the
that's
China.
really hard. Okay,
GSU
That
wants to
sounds
ban
amazing.
video games.
we're focusing on
National
the gifted
pre-
No,
program
you guys
right now
can't
and how
talk
we can
about
get more
this.
black
If we
people
have a
in it, all right?
national PK program, throw in like childcare, and then like that's the link right there.
the
And then
national pre-K
my
program
hands-
is childcare.
Smooth. Are you talking?
Yeah, but we also want to have like more years.
talking
a
on
little
mute.
bit younger, huh?
He's talking
I'm-
on mute.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
he's
Oh, you
not.
can't.
Yeah. Maybe Smooth is talking to someone else.
Ew.
Yeah. No, so hold on. So wait. So first off, early in this conversation, y'all said everybody didn't have access to the test.
He's
I
not
said,
on
hey,
mute.
everybody should have access to the test. It turns out everybody has access to the test.
I never
said
said that, but
somebody
yeah,
did.
someone did.
I never
So
said
no
that.
one
either.
So next,
It was probably
next,
Top Dolphin.
No,
That's what
next,
probably he
get
Get out of
said
here,
that
Azzy,
dumb
please.
stuff.
Stop.
He probably said that dumb
Yeah.
stuff. 'Cause
next,
Chris has been silent
next,
this whole
everybody
time.
said
Go
we
ahead.
should
Like-
invest.
Let him
I
finish.
can't talk if he's
Gambit.
Yeah. Next, everybody said, hey, we should invest more money in our education system. I said, hey, we should invest more money in our education system. Next, I'm now looking
All
at
right.
this.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So
We didn't hear
looking
anything.
at
Oh,
this,
okay. All right.
can
So
ag-
what I was trying to say is,
Let Gambit finish.
Oh,
Gambit was-
geez.
He just
was
didn't. He
talking.
didn't know you was talking, bro. Give
Yeah,
him a
yeah.
second.
Go ahead,
Oh.
Gambit.
Cut GSU off. Make that a hashtag.
Yeah, man. Yo,
Oh.
that's 1 point off. You're taken out of the program, bro. That's an 8
man.
for listening. That's an 8 for listening.
Oh, Gambit.
yeah. So, okay. So
I can't
the
hear
whole
y'all.
thing about potentially expanding the amount of people that they have, I agree. The idea that they exclusively send gifted kids to a different school is ridiculous to me. It's like absolutely ridiculous. Like, so I agree that there are things about this program that may need to change. I don't think the program should be abolished in any way. I don't think the testing should change. I don't think the requirements for testing should change. I think potentially maybe they should accept more people. I think that the school should be integrated. I don't understand why the school needs to be segregated. But other than that, I literally don't think there's anything.
Okay. Go ahead. Smooth. You want to say something?
So what I wanted to say is, it's not about necessarily income. It's about your child's experiences and what they're able to experience, and your parenting style. Like if your parents actually impart in you anything, it'll put you a step ahead than the next kid. What happens with a lot
Generally
of these
speaking,
kids
yes.
I
said generally speaking, yes, for sure.
Yeah. So if your parent is working all day, all night to put food on the table, they have no time to teach you. So you literally are teaching yourself, or you're getting your education from the other people that are around you. You're literally just absorbing whatever information is there.
Mhm.
You know. So if you have an opportunity to actually, if you test, I would say maybe test a little afterward, or give these kids all like.
But they
2
do
weeks
test
of-
afterwards.
I mean,
Yeah, but I literally linked you an article.
Wait, it's a distraction. Don't get baited. Keep
So
going.
listen. Whether or not they test afterward is meaningless if you start the race off with,
Thank you.
yo, did you come here with shoes or not? Like, that's literally what it's saying. Like, so if these kids ain't got no shoes,
You think
already,
everybody
and-
should have? You think that should be a national?
You think
pre-K
everybody should
program? I
have
agree.
shoes? Is that what you about to say?
Bro, like he's compromised so much.
I'm saying
We
no,
all
so listen,
we should all agree with them.
I'm
Like
comparing this test to having these
Like-
kids go run, and some of these kids don't have shoes because they
Okay, and I'm
Like,
asking you, do you think that a pre-K program could give them shoes?
Yes.
Oh my.
yes,
So
I
you
do.
support
He
the
agrees
national-
with us.
You
Yeah.
support the New York.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. Yeah. What are we disagreeing with?
The
I agree
only
with
Exactly.
you definitely bent to what I said, but like now that we on the same page, I agree.
No, I didn't bend. Y'all
You bent.
finally provided
I don't
some
think a
did.
national
You
pre-K
You came
program
out
is
here,
I didn't
bro.
bend.
You
Yeah.
came out here with the
Listen,
sword
Yoshi,
and
you
you left
gotta
with
like,
the
you
toothpick.
gotta like, treat you like a
Nah.
goldfish, bro. You gotta like grab him with
Nah,
like both
nah.
hands
This
didn't
and
man
hold him
came
still.
in here
and
swinging
shake
a
the life
sword
out of
and
him.
left with the toothpick, bro. We agree. I'm saying once you said
Oh,
national
you agree with
pre-K,
me?
child care, give it.
I agree.
Expanding
I'm
the
saying
program,
Prime,
No,
teaching the
Wiggle,
kids.
you agree
Hold on,
with me?
wait.
Leave
wait,
the gifted
Prime,
program alone.
Prime,
and,
hold
and
on, hold on,
national.
wait.
Come
Let's
on,
let Prime
man.
answer your question. Prime, have I talked about investing more in education several times on this show?
Yes, sir.
Is
Yeah,
it
but
not?
did you
is
say
it-
pre-K?
Hold on, Prime.
That don't.
Yeah.
Is
That doesn't
hold on,
negate the
hold on,
stupid stuff you saying right now.
Prime, is there any subject outside of fatherlessness and education that I like? What else do I wax about? That's all I talk
Yeah,
about.
you talk about education.
Talk
all the
about
time.
whether
Listen,
people, white
talking
people
about
should be able
coding.
to say the
all I
N-word.
talk about.
Listen.
You started no, but I'm
Listen.
saying your original position was you had no criticisms of the New York system, and now you
Because
moved on
nothing
that.
had been presented that
PrimeCayes?
was true. You
Okay.
presented
PrimeCayes,
something that
bro.
was true, and I said, "Hey, you know what? This does look really bad."
Okay, so you bet.
Wait.
I
So
didn't
Gambit,
bend.
Okay.
I got
That's
one.
bending, bro.
Knowing
This is
your
bending,
position
bro.
on
Inches
Colin
ground.
Powell,
Wait.
GSU, no matter how much good stuff he's done in the past, the atrocity he is committing right now, like fighting for all this nonsense. GSU is a monster, bro.
Wait.
Guess what?
You were pro.
He is
You
a
were pro
monster.
Colin
I don't
Powell.
want my kids knowing about GSU. Like,
You're pro
what?
Colin
They
Powell.
gonna read about me, bro. I'm sorry. I was
All right.
gifted.
I don't want none of my kids learning about GSU.
Or were you not pro Colin Powell?
So Gambit, a national pre-K program sounds great, right?
Well,
but
maybe
my-
not national pre-K,
right?
but every state should have a pre-K
no,
program.
A pre-K program,
anything-
yeah, whatever. Yeah.
If anything, my
I would
parents.
be okay with a pre-K program, right? But my problem, like we're talking specifically about the gifted and talented program, if they're just moving the test up and now testing kids before they go to pre-K, that doesn't solve the problem with the,
But he
the
never
pre-K.
said-
Hold
The
on,
gifted
hold
and
on.
talented
No,
program
no,
is
no, no,
just-
no,
doesn't-
your problem.
pre-K doesn't.
pre-K
Your
program
issue with
doesn't
it isn't-
necessarily fix the issue, right?
No.
Pre-K nonsense
Wait,
because
wait,
literally
sorry.
my
Hold on.
parents kept me out of pre-K and kept me home for a year and taught me how to read, and that literally put me a step ahead of all the other kindergartners.
And that's why you just ramble on panels now because
And you'll probably remain ahead, honestly.
Pre-K
Like,
Okay.
like
pre-K does
only
like help
solves the
you
problem
stay ahead
for-
of kids.
No, okay.
I heard you, GSU.
Okay.
there was a study that showed that advantages from pre-K fade by third grade for sure.
Like they only.
I would need to see that. I'm about to say I've heard that stay
Bad.
remains constant.
There
No,
are people
no.
like what's the
Pre-K
guy's
only
name?
sees you.
The bell curve guy. He wanted to get rid of pre-K programs because of that, which I think is stupid. Like it's absolutely stupid. Just because the advantages fade doesn't mean there wasn't a value provided to get them to the level that they got. So
is
like
daycare with ABC.
And I believe that advantage would only fade if that kid is not in a gifted and talented program, like or getting extra education. Like if they go into pre-K with a bunch, they go from pre-K to kindergarten, and they're in there with some kids that haven't been to kindergarten, and now haven't been to pre-K. So now the teacher has to catch a bunch of kids up. So yes, their advantage is going to fade over time because the teachers are constantly catching other kids up to them, and they're not getting anything to challenge them.
100%.
Okay.
You just-
So
think
I have
that-
hold on, wait. I have a real question for y'all.
He said, hold on, you just said something that was a lie. I
No,
had to
no,
look it
yeah.
up. Pre-K yields long-term academic gains too. While the results of studies show the academic benefits may diminish somewhat over time, few studies, if any, show they fade away completely.
Can
Thank
you
Gambit.
link me something that
I
link me
would
something
say-
that is saying that it's not?
Gambit,
Don't
I
link
would
me an
just say
opinion piece. I don't
If-
care about an opinion piece.
if
So, but hold on, wait. This is a real question I want to ask y'all.
Yeah, sure.
I want to ask y'all a real question. Okay,
Go ahead.
and maybe y'all weren't in the same situation as me. I was with the same group of kids my entire school career, from literally pre-K all the way to 12th grade. Most of the people that almost everybody stayed at our school and they went through the same school system. I don't recall of much fluctuation in like the place that people were in our class from
Hold on.
kindergarten all the
So
way to
you
12th grade.
yourself said that literally it took all of you guys to publicly shame each other in the 12th grade in order for you guys to actually sit down and
No,
focus on academics and do well.
you're mixing me up with somebody.
No,
I would
said
never
that
say that.
yourself. Literally,
No,
you
no.
said
I actually
You
wait.
literally
Let me
said
tell you
our
what I actually
school is the
said, and
worst
Prime is gonna
school.
remember this. What I actually said was
You
in
got an
my
8 for
grade.
listening
What
because
I
you
said
were
was
too
in
far
my
ahead.
grade, we actually shamed people for not being academically successful, and we were the in group. You had to be look at Prime shaking his head. That's what I said. So I don't know who the fuck told you that, but it wasn't me.
So you shamed each other.
You're not listening.
What?
I literally,
You shame people for not working
you
hard and
weren't
being
gifted,
smart
bro.
and not being
You
a part
weren't
of the
gifted, bro.
So
Oh
you
my
literally shamed each
God.
other. Like I don't see like this over.
No, but can anybody answer that question? Do y'all remember
What?
there was a kid that wasn't doing well, and then by 12th grade he was like doing better than everybody? I don't have, and I know several of the grades below me and above me. I don't remember that much wild fluctuation.
That was me.
Yes.
That was me. I was the wild fluctuation. That's why I
Yes.
told you guys.
I was
right?
the wild.
Special ed, I was remedial, right? At least like that's what everyone said. Like, this kid's gonna be remedial. My parents were afraid that's exactly what's gonna happen. And then I went to normal, and then I'm in gifted. Right? Like that was me. I was the fluctuation.
I don't know a lot of cases like that through
Or-
K through 12, but I know a lot of cases like that with college. Like so many kids who like barely
is
passed
so
high school with like a
different,
2.4
college has so
and
much
then
more
like
stress
went on to be
factors,
like
though.
4.0 GPAs.
College has a
College-
lot more variables to me.
Oh, yeah,
There's-
college is different. But
No,
okay,
There's weight
Go
that
ahead,
you're taking into
Chris,
credit.
Chris hasn't said something for a while.
I was actually just going to answer like GSU's question about
Mhm.
being through school with a certain group of kids. It was rare that there was a student that coming into the like advanced placement class, right? I remember like there was one or two. One specifically, I remember he was like known for being a class clown and being in trouble, but he had a real large aptitude to learn. He was passing tests and things like that. And by the time he got in the advanced placement classes, he was behind, but he was able to catch up to a point where he he passed decently as we got through. But you're at such a disadvantage when it comes to these gifted programs, right? Even if you are able to like perform the same, right? The classes are too far ahead, right? It's plus you're so used to be bouncing around teachers. You're not with the same group of students all the time, right? You don't get the same type of education. Like there's a huge advantage of being around the same, like learning with the same group of kids, like learning with the same teachers for a long time that you're comfortable with. You're able to go into class. You're not afraid to answer questions. You're not afraid to kind of look dumb sometimes, right? Because you're like learning and you're comfortable with having conversations and like being able to be challenged and things like that. Whereas in like a regular like class, when I did those 2 years that I was in advanced classes, bro, it was like I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't speak out. Like I barely answered questions because I was answering questions a lot. But like I was getting shit on. Like I was getting like bullied. Only relatively. Like I could like I wasn't getting physically beat up, but I was getting talked shit a lot about.
They weren't top
So
dolphin in you.
yeah,
Oh, boy,
like
it
so
was soft.
it wasn't. It was
I
just
mean,
like
true.
yeah, it's just like I just secluded into myself, especially because especially in those classes, like you would get last if you're not around these kids a lot, some kids have in groups and out groups, so you get laughed at a lot for like talking in class, or you like people feel bad for saying something that might be considered dumb
this
to
is-
everybody else. Like,
This is beautiful, right? So, and bro, I really don't understand how me and a couple of my friends understood this at like such a young age, but there is a problem, and I hate doing this on public platforms because we're gonna get cut and screwed and be put in conservative videos, but there is this anti-academic thing in the Black community, and that does happen. And I would say this is why I encourage people to go out to their schools and like do things for the kids who are academically like successful, because I know people that they didn't become less smart, but they performed less to like quote unquote fit in more in different grades. And like there is this anti academic excellence thing. And that's why I tell people, hey, like, be involved in your community and make sure like stuff like that isn't manifesting, because like it's literally crippling us, right? As a race, like we can't have this whole thing where it's bad to be smart, or you all of a sudden become white when you're smart. Like, but we have to fight that stuff, or else there are going to be kids that are underperform and shortchange themselves long term.
But wouldn't you
Like-
say that wouldn't you say that that is a form of intelligence? Is that like that social IQ? Is that like
Thank you.
part of it is-
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I just
like
posted that in the chat.
it's a problem because the
think
kids are
he's counting.
underperforming and that's stopping them from getting future opportunities. But in the same sense, those kids are doing so because they're exhibiting like a higher level of like social IQ because they know this will allow them to fit in with more people and experience like a better life from their perspective. I guess the problem would be education and like trying to teach these kids that like that's a short-term solution that's not going to help you in the long term, but it is a form of intelligence.
I think the issue is we
Yeah.
don't really give credit to we don't give credit to B's. Like either you're the absolute smartest in your class, A+, or you act out in
These
class.
are dying, man.
But I'm saying, but like
No.
both of those kids get all the attention. Like, ooh, you know, my like in the black community especially, like, ooh, so and so be acting out, that boy wild, like, oh, he hard headed, like, and it's cute when you're little and it's like, you know, like he be like to not try or to be really smart, but like we take like a 85 or making a B- on it, like having a B- as someone who's not worthy of praise and not worthy of getting attention and not
You're
worthy
not.
of like.
No, I'm joking.
But I'm saying like we don't respect, and it sounds really effed up to say, but we don't respect average. Like we don't give credit to.
I don't think
you got to
we
be
should,
good or
bro.
awful.
Why?
Like
Why?
No, wait. I don't think we should. I don't really believe in consolation prizes, right? So I'm the conservative on that side. I don't think we should demonize people that don't do well, but I think having special praise for people who do the best is smart because it should make people want to aspire to be that. Now we have this cultural like anti-intellectualism thing that we need to solve as well, but generally speaking, we should reward people who are the best, the most academically successful.
Yes,
I'm not
that's so
against that.
lopsided. I know it's so lopsided because there's so many people who live in like first generation families parents who can't read, parents who can't speak English, parents who cannot participate in their students' lives, and they're literally a lot of them are learning English from their students. Like I worked in schools.
Hold on,
who
wait,
had
but what's your
learning-
point though?
I'm literally saying everything you like what you said, like the black community doesn't advocate for education in a home. A lot of these we're not just one bunch, you know, it's not just all of us are just, the white,
monolith.
being smart is white, you know. There's only some people like that, and those people lack emotional intelligence. And that's what, Wiggle was.
Wait,
I
you
wanted to
think
talk
the
about that, but Wiggle
meme-
brought it up.
Wait.
A lot of those people. I'm not gonna let
the
you derail
meme
me.
of hold on, wait. I'm
I'm
trying
not
to
gonna
ask you a question.
let me finish.
So it feels like you're
I didn't-
saying that it's not true,
I didn't
and
even
I
ask
don't
a
think you
question.
believe that. You think that the anti-intellectualism thing of like calling black people white and like shaming academic excellence, you think that's like a small thing in our culture?
No, I don't think
I think it's
it's
overplayed.
I think it's internalized racism.
It is a internalized lack
I'm
of
not asking you
self-awareness.
to just-
Like literally listen to the conversation you guys had before about media and representation. That's a lack of a self-awareness or being aware of yourself.
I've been in multiple communities.
Being able to see yourself
the
outside
data
of
that seems to be
situations.
out there.
Let me
I think
finish.
it's overplayed.
Literally, Jisoo, this is what you literally did. You literally answered a question I didn't ask. I think you like you're there's some high IQ, but low EQ right
No,
now.
you're saying the contrary, which
This
is
is
why
like
Azzy, are you really this dumb? You're saying the contrary point. And I'm trying to force you to say it out loud so you can hear how ridiculous it is and you can change your opinion. I'm asking you the question against what you're saying, and you think I'm asking something that's completely unrelated. How could you be so stupid?
You see the self-awareness in this, right? I didn't even finish. Thank goodness technology stopped that man, bro. Thank goodness, man. I didn't even finish.
All right, Chris. We're gonna be on this for a while. Like we gotta move on. At some
I gotta
point,
go
guys.
to bed. I just want to finish the statement before GSU answers a question I didn't ask.
I wanted to. I think he's still here, but I wanted to talk about what GSU brought up, right? About the anti-intellectualism in in the community. And I think that has to do like because right, it can be generational because like let's say my grandfather on my father's side, he dropped out of school like the third grade. He literally had to run away from Alabama because like there was some racial shit going on down here. But he didn't continue school after that. So he didn't know how to read for his entire life. But he was a farmer, he was good at it, and he was able to make money doing that, right? Up here in Ohio. So like and then the next generation on, like those grandparents didn't really push academic like excellence or like curiosity or questioning things to those kids. Like it was all about just pure survival, right?
Go work in the mill or go,
Yeah,
use your hands. Like, blah, blah, you can get a good
yeah.
job as a mechanic.
I think most of if like they only had like I have one aunt who graduated high school. The rest like either got their GED or didn't get it at all, right? And it wasn't until my generation so where we was like graduating high school and going to college. And so like the priorities put on these things for a lot of black kids is just like it's not there for a lot of black kids, right? It's all about being able to like survive in general because like you like your parents wasn't making much. You had to jump right into work to help like support, right? And like these things when it comes to like school and like things like that, you prioritize. You either like if you the only way you could see to they saw you succeeding at a higher level was like either through sports or through some type of talent thing, right? So like it they pushed those things when they came along because there's like they see an opportunity to be able to be successful in that. When it came to academic things, right? I had cousins who would like do well in school, got no acknowledgement back from parents, like with that,
Yes,
right?
for sure.
That's what you're supposed to do.
So I think Top wants to say something, and then we gotta move on. It's like, I think we
Okay.
got
Right,
it.
yeah. There was kind of two things. First, I wanted to answer Gambit's question. When he asked, like, do we see people like jump necessarily from being like in like remedial classes to like gifted or vice versa? Generally, no. I don't. There's not a lot of that, but I would generally say that's probably because there's a systemic issue that prevents kids from jumping. Not that I do believe that in general people are going to stay where they are. That seems to be true. But I also think we have a system that prevents people who can jump the small amount they can from doing so. But another thing I want to point up is that like
Oh wait, you're not going
talked-
to explain what you think that systemic thing is?
we've tried going through this so many times.
I think you
I
talked about it.
don't want to go
You
for a really long
talked about
time.
it a little bit.
Okay.
I talked about some of it earlier when I said like not being given the resources to push ahead, stuff like that. But the other thing I wanted that I think is a little bit more important, that's why I don't want to harp on that too much, is I think that like something that like a lot of people talk about is there's actually a study done where is like a bunch of kids were told that like they're hard workers and a bunch of kids were told that they were smart. And it turns out the kids that were told that they're hard workers, even after doing bad or good on a test, continued to be successful way more than the kids who actually were just told they were smart and then like got good like achievement for it. And I think
creates a value system.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of like psych research has gone into this, but I think something that's like really important is like not, and I definitely think we should push every student to like what they're capable of, right? And we should reward students to performing what they're capable of. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that gifted students can't be better than non-gifted students or anything. That obviously some kids are going to go farther, and I don't think there's anything wrong with recognizing them for that. But I do think there is something recognizing and like a student like performing to their potential and to improving and stuff like that.